Hey guys, Tarke here, and today we're joined by the wonderful ZiggyD, and then other people are also here. Before we ask Raiz what he been up to, Niggy, what have you been up to?
Wow.
I'm okay. That's a new one.
Yeah.
I've been playing a lot of PoE, and then a little bit of Median that we started with yesterday, but mostly a lot of PoE and dying a lot, like everyone else.
You didn't die damn much. How many rips are you on?
Like 7,
Uh,
I think.
okay, that's reasonable. I'm on 5 and I feel kind of, yeah. Hey, as long as like Quinn still doubles me, that's my goal. For Quinn to always have double of my rips, I'm comfortable.
Nice.
Oh, see, Niggy's under that threshold though, because what, Quinn's on 12?
Yeah, Quinn's on 12.
Yeah, you need to. You've been slacking, Niggy. You gotta fix that.
Well, if he keeps playing Median, then I'm sure Quinn will rapidly catch up. So
I mean, if Median does count, I've vastly outdone him.
right. Nice.
Do you want to explain what Median is to people who don't know?
Oh, right. Median XL is a mod of Diablo 2. It's been like running for the last 12 years. It's been like received updates pretty much constantly since then. It's a complete overhaul with like really crazy crafting, boss fights, dungeons, new areas, new skills, like pretty much a full overhaul, but it follows D2 lore very tightly. So you'll see a lot of the actors. What's the name of the one we're gonna fight in D4?
Lilith.
Yeah, Lilith. Like stuff like that is in Median. So it follows like all the D2 lore.
Oh shit! Sorry, can you ask that question again?
Lore. What?
I thought of a joke. Ask the question again.
Smooth.
I don't get it.
He's too tired. Leave him alone.
No, it's fine. It's fine. It's fine. Out of interest, though, how would you compare Median to Path of Diablo? Like, if you had to rank the two.
Oh, I would go Median any day because it was like the step up for the regular game in terms of like complexity, which is why I like PoE so much. Because D2, it's sort of like once you figure it out, it's figured out, and things kind of stay the same for the most part. But there's just so much new stuff. Since I played D2 so much, I kind of needed something, I like exploring new things, and there's just so much new stuff to explore in Median because it's a completely different game. Like it's Median. When I first started Median, there was much more content than there was when I first started playing PoE, for instance. Like
Wait,
it's just yeah. Like I mean, like Median. Well, maybe not at the start, but it's pretty much. It felt pretty much the same like size as like alpha beta PoE. Like was like. Sure. Median XL in comparison to regular D2. It's a completely different game. It's really hard to just sum them up side by side. I think there's a lot more Dark Souls style elements maybe to Median versus Diablo, where it's like bosses will kill you, and it's gonna be unfair, very, very unfair. You kind of have to figure that one out.
Unfair? That sounds fun.
Hey, I like that. Not everyone likes Dark Souls. Not everyone likes games like Boshi and games that just kill you repeatedly for the sake of it. I mean, it takes kind of a special kind of, I don't know,
masochism.
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised that you're not playing it, Raiz. Are you thinking about checking it out, or just too into PoE at the moment?
I tried it, but I really don't like it. I'm big on nostalgia. So when I play D2, I want to play D2. So Path of Diablo is totally the way to go for me. Median is just a completely different game, like Noogie says. So even though some of its elements kind of look similar because it's still a D2 mod, it's so different that it's just not super duper interesting to me. But the new Path of Diablo ladder, yes, it's coming out in a week, I think. I'm really looking forward to it.
Are you gonna then start playing 3 games, Niggy, when that comes out?
You see, that's the thing. I'm kind of snoozing already thinking about playing that because I know what build I'm gonna roll. I know exactly pretty much how it's gonna go. There's like some map style stuff. At least there was like that last time. It's just I've had my fill of like regular D2. I do enjoy playing it. It's always nice with a ladder. There's some new good stuff. Like POD introduced a lot of quality of life. Like there's a lot of like PoE elements in POD why it's called Path of Diablo. So it's definitely an upgrade. But I'm not sure if I'm gonna play it. I'm gonna go travel as well a week after, so I don't really have enough time to dedicate. So I don't know if I even want to bother this time.
That's fair. Are you going anywhere nice or?
I'm going skiing.
Oh,
Where?
should be good.
Funäsdalen, I think you call it. It's like Sweden.
Oh, cool.
What about you, Raiz? What have you been up to?
PoE. A lot of PoE. It's a pretty good league. It's holding up. The POD stuff that we've been talking about, it's coming too early for me. And it's been a
It's
while
same.
since that's been the case.
Yeah.
I've had all the time I was like, dude, I need something to happen. Like PoE's cool, but like I need a little bit more variety in there. Nope, not this time. I just feel like playing all the time. Although I did play Risk of Rain because my internet was like fucking up
Oh.
2 days, and I finally tried out all the new updates and stuff. Risk of Rain 2 is
Good.
it's shaping up to be such a good game. I really liked it before, but now they just keep improving it. And it's a rare occurrence for an early access to actually be worked on and improved actively. And there's
And-
pretty vast shifts in the game, so it's cool.
Like they very much stick to their game plan as well.
Yes.
Like if you're curious as to what updates are going to be coming out in the next 6-8 months or something, they have that stuff all mapped out already. You can just go check, and they've hit every beat so far. Been pretty good on that.
Nice.
Yeah. So that's pretty cool. But in PoE, it's been I've played the kind of noogies, although it's a mix of different ones. There were like 3 chieftain cremation guys, and I kind of
Yeah.
took all of them and put together like a dude myself, and it's been cool. Killed Awakener with it. I'm trying to kill the high level Awakener, the highest level. So I'm kind of preparing the gear, and that's been a little bit tumultuous. So to get that done a little bit faster, I rolled the Scourge Arrow Pathfinder, playing Poison for the first
Ooh,
time in a really
yeah.
long time. I haven't played Poison since any of the reworks, like since old Viper Strike, I think. It's been a really long time. And yeah, the new Poison stuff is really cool. Plague Bearer is crazy fun. It really makes Poison builds
Yeah.
click. Although it's kind of a
Yeah.
weird ability because you can't really scale it. So by default, it has to be really good.
Mm.
But like you can't really do much with it. I mean, you can give it like Empower and increase AoE, and yeah,
Plague
Enchant
Bearer
+1.
Plague Bearer is this is kind of a strange point, so bear with me, but Plague Bearer is, in my opinion, Herald of Agony, but done correctly, where it's
see
a like poison assistance tool, where in order to make it relevant to a build scaling poison damage, but not scaling whatever other relevant stats you might have, in this case minion damage, they have to give it massive amounts of base stats in order to actually have it be something that matters in the end game. But with Plague Bearer, they were really, really, really careful about what other things could potentially scale it. So you can't like give it support gems or anything. So you can't focus on it and scale it out of control. But it is relevant for a poison build.
How does it scale with plus levels? Like, is it worth putting it in like a Void Eye or something?
No. It
I've
scales
seen
very
people
poorly.
do.
It scales 100k per level, like, and it's the same static base amount, so it diminishes over time, right? Relative to its like since it grows all the time, so it's not that impactful. It's probably okay, but it doesn't scale that like it's not like the same like percentage increase every time.
So
I've seen people in trade leagues do double corrupted boots because you can get plus AoE plus duration gems.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
Are you doing anything like spicy with how you're building the cremation? Because I know that Octavian's played a lot of cremation as well, so you probably like trade cremation tips or something.
No, not really. I'm looking for timeless jewels. That's probably going to be the thing that's going to determine a lot of it. So that's the purpose of the Scourge Arrow, to just farm up legions and stuff, because the Chieftain just isn't really fast enough. As for the Scourge Arrow, I guess the interesting part of it is that it's really fucking tanky, because most of the people that I've seen whenever I mention Scourge Arrow were like, it's not hardcore viable. You can't play on hardcore. It's too squishy.
What?
Dude, you get iron reflexes, you get enough damage to travel to the Marauder, you get 60,000 armor, capped out Molten Shell, capped out Vol Molten Shell, Soul of Steel, immune to all ailments, immune to stuns, immune to corrupting blood, and you're pretty good. Like, you're pretty strong. You got a HP potion that's always healing you to full. You can use that as a quartz flask as well, right? Because the Forbidden Taste isn't a quartz. Haven't really run into a whole lot of issues so far, but, you know. We'll see. We'll see when I meet that Metamorph that just kind of claps my booty. Because that's kind of, it feels inevitable at this point with every build. It's like, eventually you just kind of mess up on a Metamorph and he just claps you.
Do you want to take your turn to talk about cremation, Octavian?
Yeah, sure. I swapped to hardcore a couple weeks ago, maybe a little longer than that, and cremation looked solid, so did it as my league starter. I'm almost 98 with it at this point, and I've gone a much different direction because I'm in trade league and I have access to a lot more in the way of like specialized tools. So I've gone for divine flesh with an incandescent heart and scaling maximum chaos res and things like that, so I can push deep delve with it. And I've just started on the delve push, so I'm not that far down. I'm approaching like floor 300 or something, but I want to at least get to like 600 to 700 with it, and then see how long it takes before I just die. I managed to kill Cyrus. I also actually haven't gotten to Cyrus 8, but I'm going to be doing that probably the next couple days. And yeah, no, Cyrus was kind of a pushover. I was like really worried about it because I had never done it in hardcore before, and they had changed the storms, and I hadn't played Cyrus since they changed the storms. So I didn't know how they actually worked again. But you can just like sit there and wait now.
Yeah.
So.
Are you doing Chieftain as well?
Yeah, Chieftain.
Why not Necromancer with that setup?
I preferred the amount of life you can get on a Chieftain tree. It's a bit higher than what a Necromancer can achieve. I don't know. I could have League started Necromancer, and League start Necromancer would certainly have been smoother because you get more cast speed during the leveling process and all that, but I just liked the way that a Chieftain tree looked in the end game a lot more than I liked how a Necromancer tree did.
Okay.
I'm actually surprised more people aren't building that as Necro, because like Gulak pushed it really far, and that looked really clean. And then
I've seen a couple Inquisitors as well that are pretty insane. Like average hit DPS on Path of Building for my cremation is like 100 to 130k, and Inquisitors I've seen push it to like 400k, which is just actually incredible.
Yep. That's like a lot of damage.
Yeah,
because it's not 400k damage. That's like 5 million.
For anyone who doesn't play cremation, like if you have the helm enchant, you can put out 4 of those at once, and it's going to be hitting with a lot more than 1 projectile a second.
And it's like 41 projectiles a second if everything hits with the enchant.
It gets insane.
Yeah. What about you, Ziggy? You been playing much cremation or?
I played very little cremation. Yes, I haven't played much cremation. No, I've been playing a lot of Path of Exile though. I'll tell you what, this expansion 3.9 is the most engaged I've been in Path of Exile in quite a long time. I don't know, like I've been trying to puzzle out exactly what it is, but like a month passed, I'm like, we're a month in. It's just I'm still cranking it, and there's still so much I want to do, and I'm still like engaged, just so engaged in the end game and everything right now. And I mean, I don't think it's Metamorph. Metamorph seems like a fine league, but I think it's just like all the new stuff, like new end game to learn and discover and explore, like so many more boss fights, which I'm all about. And I don't know, I guess it's like a few leagues of where I only played for like about a month-ish or so before I kind of lost interest in like the league mechanic or whatever else was going on in game. So there's a few leagues where I guess new build stuff is stacked up that I haven't had a chance to explore yet. So now it's all like come crashing down on me, and I'm just like making new builds. I think I've made like 5 characters or something already this league, which is a lot for me. Usually I do like 3 or 4 maybe max, and I'm still going strong on it. It's real good. I'm liking it a lot. Oh, it's
nice.
Good. There's definitely problems with the like game right now. I'm sure we'll discuss a lot more throughout the podcast. But I don't know. Just it's all hit a perfect storm for me. Oh, and like crafting this league as well. Oh, so good. Crafting's so good right now. I'm just loving it. So, what were we talking about? What builds we're playing? At the moment, I stole Fox Tactics build again. Remember when I stole his Arc build back in the day in like, I don't know, 2015? I stole his Stormcall build this time around. So I'm making with the new Awakened Cascade where you slam down 5 Stormcalls all at once and they shotgun on the boss and you get like concentrated effect and intensify and stuff.
Isn't that like an absolute clusterfuck?
It looks horrible visually. It's really
on
grim.
the default version, it looks pretty rough. And I tried I bought the red version. I was instantly regret. I'm like, oh god, do I just contact them for a refund? Because this is unplayable. But the Harbinger one's actually real smooth. It looks like a completely different skill. It looks like some sort of like fire geyser kind of gushing up out of the ground. It actually looks kind of cool. It has a nice sound effect too, kind of like a wub 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 wub, kind of bassy sound effect.
Harby MTX OP because it's also Harby Magma Orb, which is playable. So basically, if your skill is bad and it's got a Harby MTX, just buy it.
Yeah. This one was super smooth. That was definitely a nice enhancement to the build. I was a little bit worried about that for sure. But the build clears with Orb of Storms anyway, so you're not using Stormcall all the time, mostly just for like single target bosses and stuff like that. But I've played so much this league. I played Scourge Arrow as well, but obviously did things a little bit differently. I was like, what's the bare minimum defenses I can get to like survive the stuff that's killing us in Metamorph right now? Which I'm like, degens are killing us so much because that was before they fixed kind of the degens for the Metamorphs. So degens were just shrekking us constantly. Plus the Cyrus fight, which I wanted to do a bunch, had the nasty. You're always kind of like end up grazing the storms and stuff like that. And it was before they changed the storms and everything. So I did Wind Dancer Kintsugi combo, which I know Octavian's a fan of as well. And it's get a little bit of Chaos Res. You get the Pantheons for the damage over time stuff. And you can just like almost walk through the middle of the storm. And it feels good, man. It feels good. Basically feeling immune to degens.
Yeah, when I was playing in softcore, I did a Toxic Rain Miner with those 2 effects, and I screwed up one of the fights horribly. I'm going to blame my chat. I was reading chat at the time. And I stood under Cyrus while he spawned a storm. So he spawned it literally on top of me, and I still got out. Because you just take so much reduced damage if you haven't hit.
I went from that character doing Cyrus, like making mistakes like that, just like standing around in the storms and stuff and just been walking away like nothing touched me. And then I played like one of my next characters was a Abyssus. I had an Abyssus on initially and like no Chaos Res. So it's like you like graze the edge of the storm and I'm like, I never got because I was playing this like, I was playing this guy with heaps of damage over time resilience. And then I never really got the complaints about like the hitbox. I'm like, oh yeah, the hitbox is a little bit off, but it's not that bad on the storms. And then I played the Abyssus character and I like am in the general vicinity of the edge of the storm. And it's like, I instantly dead. Like, okay, I kind of get it now. This is what probably most people are doing right now.
They haven't changed the hitbox yet, have they? Or they did change that?
No, they do need to change that too.
It's just that the storms are easier to avoid because they'll give you space to operate now.
Yeah.
They don't move as fast like either, right? So they don't like all of a sudden just kind of overrun you.
It seems like they move around slower. I've only done the fight a couple times since the change, though.
Well, if we're on that topic, I kind of hate the change, to be honest. Like, yeah, it stops people from accidentally screwing it up more, but it takes so much longer now. It's so much just standing around the fight. Whereas before, I was like, during the storm phase, I was actively pulling the storms away. I was like doing something. I kind of had it figured out, right? Like, you'd go down south and you'd pull the storm to the south, and you'd like scooch out the edge, loop around, and smack him and bring him down like in 10 seconds flat. Now you got to kind of just stand there for like 30-40 seconds, wait for him to slowly.
You had it figured. Wait a minute. You're saying that there's a method to do it the same way every time, and all you had to do is watch a YouTube video to obtain that method?
Dude, I didn't watch no YouTube videos. It was kind of easy. I'm not gonna lie. It was only really
did it consistently. No way. What?
Okay, all right. Before we like
the developers
like storms were perfect. Before we go all that way, it was a real problem if you like screwed up something, like if you died at the wrong time or something went wrong, and you're like, and then you panicked, and then you drew the storms over the door, and then you blocked yourself in, and then yeah, that was definitely problematic.
If you played bad, you got punished. Is that what you're saying? No.
Yes. I'll tell you what though.
The game should be like that.
Cyrus is a little bit of a shit when it comes to punishing mistakes though. Because if you're doing the fight well, it's fine. And I guess as a hardcore only player at the moment, Raiz, you'll be like, you're always kind of doing it as, right, because if you're not, you're dead, so you don't really get to learn any additional follow-up slaps, I guess. But Cyrus is the worst when you make a mistake, because if you die at the right time and then leave and then come back, and he decided that was the time to do a die laser, as you move in to 2 screens away, he hard locks on you and does a die laser that you can't avoid because you're super far away. It's literally 3 screens length. It's the moment you step in. You know how Path of Exile has a range where everything's frozen in time. If you're 2 screens away, it's 2.5 screens length. As soon as you step within 2.5 screens, he's just bam, 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 dead. Just laser, just hit massive scan laser.
Die to that. No problem. Don't die.
It's so bullshit. I was having a real rough fight one time. I was getting pretty frustrated, and then I died. I died to something stupid, my mistake. And then I come back in, and he does that bullshit to me instantly. The moment I get in the vicinity of the circle, I'm just like, oh god. I tilted pretty hard then.
Damn.
I kind of love the fight though. I kind of love it. It's definitely not as good as Uber Elder or Shaper. Not as clean, not as constant activity, but I don't know. I still really enjoy it.
That's the point. How would you guys rank it? Not in terms of difficulty, but just in enjoyability of the fight against the others.
I'd have to agree with Ziggy. I mean, below Uber Elder and below Shaper. Shaper's at the top of the list for me. I know that he's been power crept on pretty hard, and he's fairly trivial, even with the buffs that he got nowadays. But I still think that it's one of the better designed fights in the game. I mean, maybe that's just nostalgia talking. Yeah,
it's got a sort of perfect rhythm to it and cleanliness to it, and everything's so visible in that fight. There's no with all the visibility issues in the Cyrus fight, and that's probably my biggest grievance with it now. It's Shaper you see everything so clearly in that fight. It's a breath of fresh air when you go back to it after Metamorphs, and then Cyrus just dabbing on you with meteors that you can't see because they're underneath a bit of broken ground or something like that.
Yeah. I think the fight de-syncs you a lot as well. Well, not it kind of throws you whenever you get the meteor when it comes in. It kind of feels weird, right? It's kind of it kind of feels like a little bit of desync as well.
Oh yeah, I get that.
Funny thing about the meteor that the solo self-found guys probably aren't aware of is that it will teleport anyone in the zone into the meteor. So if you're trying to carry someone and they're in the fight with you, waiting by the door, Cyrus just yoinks them into the arena and just tries to kill them. It's amazing.
It's pretty good.
Wait, if they're inside of Orgath, if they're
if they're in that zone at all, which means even if they haven't come through the door and they're in the zone with the map device, they'll just get pulled straight in.
It just teleports into the center of the arena. It's pretty funny.
That's the way to do it.
I wonder how many people died to that at the start of hardcore.
What are you hiding? Get over here.
Those guys did.
Yeah, I agree. The teleporting around and all that is neat in concept, but ends up with some issues. I mean, I've had a couple Cyrus fights now where maybe I was using a movement ability at exactly when he decided to move me or place some terrain or something, and it just bugs out and I get stuck in something. Actually, the fight that I did last on hardcore, he did the thing where he puts up a corridor and starts bowling at you. I don't know what that ability is called, but where he throws orbs down a corridor and you have to dodge left and right. And
Noogie knows.
I'm very familiar with that.
It didn't set up correctly. And instead of being placed in the corridor, I was placed at the start of the corridor in the wall, and I couldn't move. And I had to just sit there and face tank all of them, which thankfully the Chieftain build could do, but I had no other choice.
The first time I did it, I bugged out on the meteor. I was mid smoke mine when he meteored me in, and I just got stuck in the wall. It was just okay, well, got a log.
It definitely needs another balance patch or two, or a bug fix patch or two, and a cleanliness pass. But I had one fight today that I did for a viewer where I died, and then coming back in, I was about 2 screens away from the circle, the safe area you're supposed to fight him in. Well, safe. And he teleports and does his multi-clone circle where he does his die laser 2 screens outside of the circle, in the middle of a storm. I'm what the hell, dude? I go over to the circle, I'm waiting for this laser. He's not doing it. I'm okay, I've got to go over there. So I go over there, and then he does the laser, and then he's still chilling over there. He won't follow me. I basically had to fight him over in the middle of the storms, outside of the circle, like 2 screens away, until he did his meteor phase, which teleported us all back to the middle of the circle. And then it was invisible. The maze was invisible. I had to escape the maze, and it was invisible. You couldn't see the wall.
Did you have the glowy stuff on the ground at least?
There was nothing. It was just invisible, but I could tell it was in it because it teleported us in, and I was clicking and holding to move right. My character's auto-pathing through the maze, so I was trying to navigate this fucking invisible maze by auto-pathing.
Did you get out?
Yeah, it like
Nice.
appeared when I got into like the final ring. Still got out of it. Badass.
Basically, you're just a
Don't mind
god
me.
gamer, just better than everyone else.
Yeah, just god gamer. He can cheat all he wants, still getting it done.
See, but that's like, because I would say the same thing, right? In terms of the enjoyment of the fight, but like the bugs, dude. It's been a month, and they fixed so many already, and it's still shit like that happening. Like, holy! I feel like that's a real way to drop the ball on that one.
How many bugs were there when Uber Elder came out? I can't remember. It was so long ago.
I don't.
He could
Other
be
than like getting
possessed.
stuck in the wall and like the arena looking kind of ugly, I don't think there was a whole lot.
There were prophecy bugs. He could be possessed or twinned, but those didn't happen often, and you could avoid it by just not having the prophecies in.
I don't
think
know
I
how
remember
quickly they
seeing the
fixed
twin
Shaper
videos,
either.
so.
I don't remember if there were anything with Shaper because Hardcore got around to it pretty late compared to the other guys. So maybe by the time Hardcore rolled around, it was fixed. The only bug thing was that the balance was really off when Shaper came out because it was the Volpact era and all that. So it was pretty like ridiculous. Pathfinder,
The-
Permaflask, Volpact.
I remember the bullets in the bullet phase could be invisible sometimes.
Oh yeah.
That's pretty much it as far as Shaper goes.
I think they tried to do some much fancier stuff with this fight, which is probably where most of the bugs are coming from. Like the other fights are all just the bosses doing moves and you just move around inside an arena, right? Like nothing else is really happening. In this, it's like the bosses and you are teleporting around. He's picking you up and putting you in the middle of the meteor. He's picking you up and putting you in the middle of the corridor, and it's trying to do this thing where there's like big mobile areas of like arena blocked off. And then it's trying to spawn this thing like the maze. And sometimes the maze exit is in the middle of a storm because it just so happens that that's where you fought him. It's not like the arena's not always in the same place, so they can't really accommodate for that because the arena is wherever you drop him down, right? So if that's like next to a bunch of storms or something and the walls are there and it can't push them any further away, that's when you start running into a lot of these issues. So yeah, I guess really suffering from them trying to do a much fancier things with this fight.
I think it also, a lot of it is just that they tried to do it in a pre-existing zone. Like, they didn't make an arena for it. And I think that's where they ran into so
Staircases
many
are a good
issues with,
example of
like, the
that.
staircases, random terrain, and
Yeah.
everything. No.
Minor
hey-
thing.
Oh.
Oriath looks fine, by the way. Like, as far as lore goes, I know that might not be what we want to discuss right now, but like, there's some burned carriages and the fountains out of water, but you could still live there. They don't
Why did
have
they
to
just-
go to the Karui shores.
I think
Dude,
they're
what
just
if-
sick of this shit at this point. Right?
The
They've had
guy
enough.
drops a meteor on you. This is like a fucking Chernobyl nuke zone. What are you talking about?
Oh,
It's
it's the radioactivity? Is that
Yeah, of
it?
course.
Okay.
These like
Sure, I'll
shocking
buy that.
degenerative-
The storms dissipated, but they left behind a radioactive haze.
I
Hell
think
yeah,
it's also
dude.
kind of one of those things where you build this beautiful city, then Kintava fucks it all up, and you're like, okay, we build it, guys, it's fine. And then this prick comes along, you're just like, you know what, fuck this. Like, how many times do you want to rebuild the same building? You're like, I'm out. I've like fixed this fountain 8 times this week, you know, like,
We just came up with 2 viable lore answers to this question. I'd say that's solid enough.
All right, I'm satisfied.
Good.
I am looking forward to a lot of this bug stuff getting fixed because I've recently gone back to hardcore, which has been quite exciting. And I haven't played hardcore since Delve? What was Incursion was my last hardcore league, so it's been what, like 2 years or something? It's been a really long time. It feels weird. That was like, yeah, like 2 years ago now, right? It feels so
Incursion
crazy.
was 2 years ago. What the fuck am I doing with my life, dude?
Like, I think it's just under. I think it's like a year and
Yeah.
like 3/4 or something.
That was
Oh
like
my
the
God.
next league would be 2 years.
Yeah.
Well done.
Yeah, but the other thing which is really funny about it is, so I've been doing like these hasted private leagues for ages, but now I'm gonna do just a normal vanilla hardcore private league starting next week. I'm doing like a hardcore SF test run, so I'm really scared because it's like, oh, I'm playing hardcore for the first time, but this is the first time I've played the game without haste in like 2 years, and it's like 3 temp chains. I'm really scared, but everything is so fucking slow. I'm like, wait, what?
Nice.
It's great, like it's like, you know, in Dragon Ball Z when Goku takes off the weighted t-shirt. That's what I feel like.
Yeah.
You know, it's great. I can dodge things which were hard to dodge before. It's that's fun.
I think it's a good league for you.
Game
to get
easier on
back
hardcore.
Like I know metamorphs have been rippy for a lot of people and have been killing a lot of folks, but it's also one of the mechanics. So like there's a few things that make Metamorph my favorite hardcore league in actual years. One, you'll never get surprised by a Metamorph. Like you're never going to get ambushed by one. You build it and you know what's going into it. And two, it's a very clear delineation of risk versus reward. Like if you have the Metamorph monster that has valuable essences or whatever, but it has double powerful crits and extra damage as fire, you have to make that choice in hardcore. And it's a much harder choice as to whether or not I want the essences of horror that might pop out or I want to live. And I just really, really like that. Like it's fun every time. There's a little bit, there's a little bit of fun stress at the end of every map as to whether or not this Metamorph will be the one that kills me. And I have a huge amount of control over whether or not it will be the one that kills me.
Yeah, I've been doing Metamorphs the whole time I've been leveling. Like, I only did it for a couple of hours. I mean, like Act 6 or something. But yeah, I have actually been like stopping and like thinking about it a little bit, which has been quite nice because in softcore, the only thing I was thinking about was what gave me the best reward. I wasn't really like looking at the mods on there. Whereas now there's been a few times where I'm kind of like, oh, is it better that I go for this rare armor because I could probably do with the rare armor in here because I need some movement speed boots, but this guy's got like triple damage mods, or I could go for this. It's a bit safe. And like I thought about that a few times in like early Act 2 and Act 3 and stuff, which is pretty cool. So yeah.
It's a little harder to shift the blame.
Yeah.
Usually when you rip, it's like, unlucky, bad auras, this map mod that. No, here you made that guy. He fucked you up.
Yeah. You can just skip every one too. Like,
yeah, sure. Well, that's the thing. That's the thing that hurts really, because in reality, right now, in my opinion, the majority of people on hardcore are running like blue maps, and you don't need things to be really rewarding because you get maps, you get currency, you get gear. You don't have to really challenge yourself that much. You can take your time, because before, if you took your time, you felt really bad about it. It was like, oh, other people are doing this, but I got to do it too. Oh, I ripped. Great. My character sucked. But like now it doesn't feel as bad because everybody's kind of struggling. It's a very rippy league. So you could skip all of it. So it makes you feel especially stupid when you die to a Metamorph. At least that's been the case for me. I've definitely beating myself up over the rips the most this league.
I don't think I've seen myself skipping Metamorphs like barely ever.
Like, skipping Metamorphs. Yeah, but you do skip mods, right? Like,
right.
You see the Kitava Herald.
The pool is going like further and further down. It's more like the more you understand what does what, and what frequency they will do it. Because you can see on the side as well like how often they'll do it. So you're like, oh, that thing, but he does it very rarely. So if I just watch out for that thing and I like Molten Shell or whatever, or step around a corner when that one ability goes off, I'm like, fine. The rest is like easy.
That's what I have
really
a lot of control. Like that learning process is the fun part. Like when I was first doing Metamorphs in hardcore, I was scared shitless of every little thing that looked like it could be scary. And now I've like been adding more and more, and I'm like, oh, 5 mods on a rare beast, throw it in. Why not? Sure, I can probably handle that. And it lets me very slowly adjust to and adjust to the content and modify my character to meet the challenge, and that's the fun part. I don't know. Like I said, go ahead, Ziggy.
I was just gonna say, you guys have hit really well on what makes Metamorph good, like these aspects of it, the control you have over it and everything, and the reward structure is really good as well, for sure. Just imagine how good that stuff would be if the visibility was improved dramatically, because it's right. Like on the problem side of things, it's like a twins issue here. You've got so visibility is really bad in them, right? Like that's pretty obvious. But then the fact that every when you like say have a regular boss that is the same every time, even if the visibility is not very good, you get kind of to learn the muscle memory of the fight. So you get to like, oh, if I move in this kind of general pattern, or if I like move, shoot, move, shoot, move, shoot in this kind of timing, you get to start to get a feel for that sort of stuff to be able to dodge different boss fights. With Metamorphs being different every time, you can't really ever learn that. Like, yes, you can learn individual organs give these skills and you can look out for those things, but that's always an active approach that you have to do uniquely to each Metamorph fight. So the visibility not being good really, like, I don't know, really hits that part really roughly, I feel.
What are you laughing at, Raiz?
So
You want to say something?
No, I guess he was like, move, shoot, move, shoot. I'm just like, yeah, I guess that is right. But what if you're playing a melee build? I'm just like, wait a minute.
Oh, but you do the same on melee builds. Honestly, you do. Because you start like one of the like
Quinn
I know
did it
of
really well yesterday. I saw it. It was really
Right.
good. He did it. He was moving around a lot, but it wasn't enough. I don't know. When you're that up close, it's pretty rough.
I've seen a lot of
definitely,
people complain that they get like one shot from something and they're like at the edge of the screen. They can't see when the wind up is. You know, like there's a post with a guy dying to the beam and he's like as far away as possible. But if you're like, imagine this, like the further out you are when a beam goes in a circle, the further you have to travel to avoid it. And the like harder it is for you to see in which direction. So he pretty much stood exactly on top of where it spawned. Had he actually been a little closer and he knew like the beam was coming or whatever, like he could see it, like the direction of the monster, like walking around him, there's a high chance he just straight up avoids it. And that's the thing about melee. You're always somewhat close. So you are always, you know, aware of what the boss is doing. So it's not even like, it's not always safer to like kite it far away. Sometimes it's just better being close.
I think a lot of bosses in PoE work like that.
Yeah, for
Like
sure.
in general. Just at least when you know what's coming with Metamorphs. I don't know. I don't feel like it's always that easy to know. Like, sure, if I see Carnage Apocalypse or whatever it's called, that's probably bad, you know? Like, but still. Yeah, what's the Herald attack? It's like he does a 360, like 300 projectiles, or like he chases you with the projectiles, like million of them. It's like, yeah, that's probably bad. The thing is,
it's such a good name as well. Carnage Apocalypse, Murder, Death, Kill Apocalypse. Like I should avoid that.
It's definitely Carnage. I don't know if it's Apocalypse. I think maybe
Diabolical Carnage, I believe it's called.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, well, that's pretty good.
Pretty metal too,
yeah. The thing is, some effects persist. Like for instance, again, coming back to the Quinn rip, I guess if people saw it, like some effects persist while the boss still continues to shift. So in his case, he thought he died to like some leap, from what I saw, but it was the plateau boss, and he has the charge up. One of them has the charge up Nova, the other one has two, but one's Frost, the other one's Shock. And in this case, he shifted, jumped on top of him, and then the Nova was charging up the whole time, and then it released, right?
Oh,
it popped.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Or like yesterday, I was playing on my Scourgear guy, and I was doing what's that? Mineral something. Is that the one with the Phylacteral Link boss?
No,
the triple
Crystal
boss.
No,
Crystal. There you go. Yeah, that's the one. And so with that guy, if you use the guy that explodes at the end, he actually does have a explosion at the end. It just doesn't do any damage, but he has the whole animation and everything. So every time he was doing that, I was just shitting myself, but it actually never did damage because it hit me like 3 times and it just didn't do anything. So I don't know. There's a lot of like inconsistencies with the animations and whatnot. It can be pretty tricky.
I guess it goes to show why most action RPGs don't have procedurally generated bosses, right? You don't just like take different parts of bosses and then kind of like randomize them together, because it generally is a pretty rough experience for players to engage with.
I don't know. Going back to the initial point, while it doesn't excuse the visibility, and I do certainly agree that it could be improved upon, and obviously anything that's buggy, I think should be fixed. You have the tools to address that yourself in game at the moment.
Yeah.
If you learn which abilities are the really scary ones, and you learn which bosses, like the plateau boss, I actually almost ripped to him a couple times, so I only ever use the lightning one now. Like if you learn those things, you can adapt to them and play around them. And I'm not saying that makes it so they shouldn't fix them and that they shouldn't be addressed. But I am saying that it makes for, in my opinion, the best mechanic for hardcore that we've had in years, because you have all of these tools to deal with it.
Oh no, I wholeheartedly agree. Like, I'm not trying to say. I think in terms of balance, the game's better than ever, because before it always felt like mobs had ways to deal really heavy spike damage to us, but we never really, unless you specifically build for it with the intent of being able to tank that sort of stuff, you didn't really have too many tools to defend yourself against that sort of stuff. But now you do have those like really ridiculous forms of defense, like max block recovery, like really available full dodge, like max damage reduction, and like the Kitsugi stuff that you guys were talking about, Volt Molten Show, obviously. So you have ways of countering those things. It's just every now and then it goes through. But usually the rips that I've seen were like, and specifically in my case, they were like, didn't click a potion, didn't click Vol Molten Show, didn't move properly in this, didn't use this ability. So in that way, I do feel like the game is really great.
This kind of segues a little bit into a point, and this was something that someone in my chat asked me, but it was, we've all spoken about how we like the hard difficulty of this patch. We know generally most builds can be viable given enough time. Do you think making content has been detrimental to people who can't contribute as much time to the game, though?
I did a poll on my stream about this question because I was curious, because I was like, think, our perspectives are maybe not very useful in that particular topic. I was wondering, like, a wider audience. Now, obviously, stream viewers are people that are generally fairly engaged with the game. They're not like the super casual Path of Exile players. But it was about, I was kind of surprised. It was 60-40 enhanced PoE enjoyment in favor of enhanced PoE enjoyment for like the boss tankiness / difficulty spike that we've had in this league. So 40% felt that it made the game worse for them, and 60% liked it. I was, I don't know. What are your thoughts?
You know what the reality of that situation is, Ziggy, though? The reality is that if you would have done this poll in a different league, you would have just had 40% less votes, because that 40% that doesn't like it wouldn't have been playing the fucking game anymore for a long time now. I think the spike in difficulty and the increase in overall investment that you have to put into the game was the benefit. Like, I truly don't believe those guys would have played. And if you look at the Steam charts, the what's it called? God, I'm having problems speaking today. The amount of players playing now compared to the launch is still really high. Yeah, retention is really high compared to other leagues, like extremely high.
So like a month in, retention was like the same as Startup Light.
A month in?
Right, so like the concurrent player base, I think, was about the same from what I heard.
I think we might be at a turning point here where perspective on the game could benefit from being shifted in some ways. Where, for a long time before the buffs to enemy res, before the buffs to monster life, before the buffs particularly to bosses, you could, with minimal investment, take quite a number of skills up to those bosses and get, 1 million plus 2 million plus DPS and destroy them pretty easily. But what they've done is they've tuned that back so not as many builds can get there as easily, but there are lots more layers of content along the way. Like the Atlas takes a lot longer to grind up through now. There's a lot of conqueror fights you have to get through along the way. They've buffed side bosses so that they're more significant of a challenge. Things like, I guess, Shaper's a side boss now. So I feel like, I don't know. I'm trying to say this without sounding like a pompous dick, but basically your build is still all right if it can't do Awakener level 8 extremely easily on a low budget. Like, there's other benchmarks to reach that are still worth reaching, and with investment your build can eventually reach Awakener level 8, and I think it's fine if Awakener level 8 takes a large amount of time and currency to reach. There are some skills that get there too easily. I would say summoners still need some tuning in order to, bring that down a bit. I'm not saying every build needs that level of investment, but I think that level of investment being necessary for Awakener level 8 for the big bad at the end of the game is fine. I want it to be hard. I want it to take a lot of time and effort. And I also am fine if not everyone gets there.
I feel like...
I don't know.
Yes?
See, the thing about PoE is that like you will never know everything. The game is about learning shit, knowing shit. You will never accomplish that. It doesn't matter if you have 200 hours or if you have 2,000 or 20,000 hours. You will just never get there. So this idea of finishing the game, to me, it just didn't exist for a long time when it comes to it. And I feel like even though, yeah, we definitely play a lot more than the average player, I don't feel like it's any different in PoE than it is in other games that I play and don't finish. Don't have that sense of actually ending. And I think that's fine. I think that's better because I can always come back to it. I can continue to do it. I enjoy it a lot more.
Wait, I thought I was almost finished. I've been going at this game for like 10,000 hours. You're saying I'm not close to beating it yet? Fuck, dude.
Well, it depends. Some people beat Brutus and they tell their friends, how they destroyed the game, dude. They beat it.
That game's easy.
So, that game's easy, yo. Yeah.
I'm curious. So when I started the league, the difficulty changes. I was like, "Whoa, man, this stuff's serious." So like all these bosses are like, "Whoa, the boss is actually scary now. It's like really hard. Everything's really hard." I already feel like, so a month in now, I already feel like my perspective has shifted. Octavian was kind of talking about shifting perspectives. This already feels like the new normal. I'm curious if you guys are feeling like you're there, or you still feel like this is way harder.
It is. Yeah,
I agree.
For me, yeah.
Yeah, I've just gotten used to boss kills taking longer to, like a good DPS value to me probably is actually similar DPS to before, but what it actually feels like in game, what it visually is, because monsters have much more health and res, is just different now, and that's fine. I'm okay with the T16 map boss taking, instead of 2 seconds, like 15 or 20. Depending.
Yeah, it's like a shift in expectations, I guess, is the I have like a different level of expectations now, and that's like shifted to adjust the way the game is now, which I guess is like the idea. I guess that's what ZiggyD kind of hopes for. Our expectations change out of changes like this.
I just hope they keep going with it into PoE2, because that was one thing that I was a bit worried about, because they said at ExileCon, oh yeah, we've tuned the demo to be really hard, but we might need to make it easier. And I was a bit like, ooh, okay. But I think they really just want to go for that, which I think is pretty cool.
Everything was pretty insane in the bit of that demo that I played. I only got to play like half of it, but I was like, damn, this stuff's pretty, like, these are mechanics like more fancy than endgame bosses that we have now, and we don't have any movement skills at this point in the game. Like, I don't even have dash yet, and this boss is like teleporting around and doing shit where I have to dodge behind things. I'm like, oh.
The main boss which really fucked me up was you have to like, it's the replacement of the mud flats thing. Like, you collect the 3 sigils, then it builds this like skelly. He shoots out the projectiles, which puts the crazy bleed on you, and you're like level 4, and you're like, shit, what do I do? I can't run because I'll just bleed out. But if I stand to you, he's just gonna hit me with this big fucking mace. He's like, yo, boom. You're like, yeah, that's
just look out, man.
Yeah,
easy. Yeah, well, they did talk about how they're going to try and make the game more in line with what it's going to be in the future at the ExileCon. They did talk about how it's going to be more of a progression. I feel like if we're actually progressing past this point, like it's going to be even harder. It's going to get a little tricky, but the current of the game is exactly what I wanted.
If this is like their gentle progression into PoE2, it's a bit of a jump, isn't it? It's like it's a huge jump.
I don't know. I do want to say that I think there need to be some adjustments to certain skills and archetypes. We're not. This is the first step in that direction, and we're not at a perfect state yet. There's play styles and skills that need to be brought up to meet the bar. There's some that maybe need some power shaved off so that they don't feel like they're dominating and trivializing things. But overall, from my biased perspective, I like it. I don't know. Like, I certainly am biased. I play the game 8+ hours a day, and I have thousands of hours logged on Steam. It's impossible for me not to be. But that's my opinion. That's my perspective.
One thing I'm
happy
curious
that you're coming around after my point has been brutally made over so many episodes. And maybe some things should be brought up a little bit. Something might be a little bit, up there. Yeah. I remember people
Oh, you
being
mean-
very hesitant on agreeing on that in the past.
I'm always in favor of making the game more accessible through removing a needless obscurity. I want people to be very aware of what their options are, very aware of what things do. I don't want someone to look at a unique, and ideally, I don't want someone to look at a unique and be like, "What does this do? How do I use this?" I want that question to be easily answered, but I don't want enemies to be pushovers necessarily. Once you have a build put together, I just want you to be able to know how to build a character. That shouldn't be the barrier to entry.
Question. Do you think people would feel less like their build sucks when they get into the scary high tier bosses if just normal mobs are a bit tankier? Because I think that's the main thing for me, which is a bit weird, is it's very easy with just a couple of 100k Path of Building DPS, so one shot most packs, and then you get to a tier 16 boss or a very tanky Metamorph, and you're 30 seconds later, it's still going. So do you think maybe it'd be a case of if normal mobs were tankier as well, people would feel less of my build is shit or something?
There's a big difference between the requirements for clear skill versus single target. Absolutely. Huge levels of magnitude of difference of what's required there.
I think it's from having just played a Bleed Glad, I think stuff like that would really hamstring a lot of builds if you increase the tankiness of all the white monsters. And I've kind of been wanting them to do it for a while, increasing the HP, but I'm not so sure anymore because all of a sudden you have these some simple tools that'll somewhat get you through the map, and then you have some good single target, you can tank some good stuff, but if it becomes a struggle even just killing the white mobs in the map, and then now you really feel behind because you don't have the great overall one hit wonder skill that needs to have massive DPS, AoE, and massive single target, kind of solves everything in one. I totally get what you're saying. There's a big disparity there, and it might feel a little bit weird, but I'm not sure if White Monster do HP right now. They'll have to they would have to rebalance a lot across the board.
Maybe it would work in a situation where we have PoE 2s, multiple 6-link shenanigans. But
more tools for that they could work in PoE 2. I could see that.
Yeah, right now though, I actually really quite like that we're blowing stuff up and everything's exploding. You feel like gods, and then you get, oh, here's a real challenge. Here's a boss. And then you take a step back, oh, here's someone who's my equal, because you kind of are a god wading through a bunch of plebeians you just insta killing, and then all of a sudden it's a real challenger steps up to the plate, and you're like, oh damn, here we go.
This is the thing I kind of talked about for the longest time now, where on one side I want the mobs to fight back, and really things outside of a boss don't really fight back, even with this change. But I feel if we have to choose a lesser evil for the greater good, I feel the way it is right now is just much better, where white mobs can still be a threat if things line up really well, or if you are just too risky, but the bosses are the main danger. And the reason why that works for me is because I always thought that would be the balance between melee builds and range builds, where melee builds would have high single target, low clear, but then it would be the opposite for ranged builds, right? And that's kind of how you would balance it out. And I feel it's kind of the case now where Blade Flurry is kind of an example of that, even though nobody plays it because it's bugged with movement skills and stuff. But Blade Flurry, you would, in the previous patch, you would never use Blade Flurry to clear a map. But now it's kind of reasonable to use Blade Flurry to clear a map, just because you're going to be able to deal with the boss so much freaking better. And through that, in a way, it does increase build diversity, while also, unfortunately, decreasing it in certain cases because skills just aren't strong enough to be able to deal with bosses too. So in that way, it needs some rebalancing. But I think in terms of mob survivability, I really like this spot more than ever, I think, actually. the last part that I liked it was invasion because it was exactly that. White mobs were a joke compared to the guy that was somewhere in that map that is going to fuck you up. And that was really enjoyable.
Metamorph is basically like invasion, except you can't ever get ambushed by the invasion boss.
Yeah, pretty
you
much.
Build it yourself, and it's there. It can be scarier in some ways, though. It's kind of hard to compare because invasion was so long ago and power levels were so different.
Yeah, it was a very differently paced game. I mean, it's a lot faster now, even though it's slower in this patch. It's still like significantly faster than what it was back then.
I've been hearing this complaint quite a lot that this patch like killed off meta builds, and I completely disagree with that sentiment. But like, would you agree with that?
I don't agree.
What the fuck?
I've heard it so much
do you mean?
in the last couple of days.
Well, I guess not you, but which builds are referred to generally?
I think it's kind of one of those things where people have this thing that because summoners are so good, they feel like if you're not playing a summoner, you're failing, and that's the only viable option.
Oh, see,
and
I misunderstood
therefore
your...
any build is then like, because it's like you could make any. If you said I want to play like a hit self-cast build, there are 5-10 skills you could just ream off that'd be good for that, and you could clear the content with. There are good melee skills you could do. I feel like if you pick a archetype, you could clear all the content with anything if you just like thought for like a few seconds. I don't know.
Just link them this video, Tarke. I don't know if you could show it on stream or not, but like just show them this and just go, yep. Whatever, dude. I don't know. I can link in the chat if you can't show it. But like, that's kind of a meme. Come on.
What is it?
It's the guy doing Sextant and Watchstone and like level 84 or 85 zone is like just stacking everything in one place.
Yeah, with like multiple beyonds with a headhunter and winter orb, and he gets from 99 to 100 in like an hour and a half just mapping. Like,
is that faster than it was like a few years ago with the 8-6 on shores?
I think it's slower.
Yeah, right.
I think it's slower. Yeah. But that was mostly due to the fact that you could have like, because now you can only really have like 2.5 beyond.
Yeah.
Back then you could have like 4, and density was higher too in some of those maps. So
it's kind of crazy.
Freaking like giant feet with the lagging out and the green goop all over it. It's like low poly.
Oh god,
this video. Oh god. I did some of those tier 18 maps where you pump them up and stack a bunch of stuff on them, and I started off juicing the maps pretty heavily. You know, there were 130 quant maps with stacking all the sextants and putting all the scarabs in and everything, and we party wiped in the first room of the first 2 maps that I tried like that. It was like double beyond, and
that's amazing.
It felt like when Beyond first came out, and you remember we were terrified of the tornado shot guys. We're like, holy shit, the tornado shots will just shred you. And it was exactly like that. I was getting off screen by tornado shot guys, and I'm just getting smashed by them. They're like almost one-shotting me each time. I'm like, holy crap. So I had to back off on the juice quite a bit for the maps after that point. I was like, all right, okay, maybe I'm just doing like a couple things, and we're not doing Beyond. I really had to back off on that. It was pretty crazy. It's serious.
I was stacking Shaper Scabs because I needed Shaper Boots, right? And then I got one of those where it was like double Beyond with the Sextant, so it was like 2.5 Beyond. I literally killed the first pack. It spawns like 3 bosses, and my map instantly crashes. Bro. And then I did another one, less juiced up. It was still like, I think double Beyond with like a bunch of mobs, D16. And yeah, it was so much fun. Holy shit. But it was like with a damage mod too. And at some point it spawned like 6 hosts. And they were just like bombarding me with like frostbolts and stuff. And I think I didn't make it through the entire map. I did like 95% of it, but then those hosts were like stacked up around one room, so I just couldn't get past them. It was really fun. I can recommend it.
When we were doing the pre-show for this episode, I mentioned that question, like see what chat's response to it was, and Yoji said something pretty good. If he's still in chat, maybe you can post it again. But to paraphrase, it was, if I'm working a full-time job, planning a wedding with my pregnant fiance, and I can afford a hentai to this league, you just need to get fucking good. I like that from you.
Whoa.
That's really good.
Yoji being savage.
Yeah.
I was talking about this today. Yoji's actually savage. Everyone thinks he's really nice.
No, yeah,
he's
he's a
actually
cunt.
savage.
He's mean. He beats up
See,
kids.
He's always been like this.
Yeah.
Though.
He just kicks animals. In the
You maybe
street.
took it 2 steps further there, Tarke. Sorry.
I love Yoji, but he because I've been speaking to him for a long time. He's always has this like really nice cuddly image about him, but he's cutthroat as hell. Like he will screw you over.
Whoa.
Okay. 100%. He was like scamming kids in RuneScape for their gold, like flipping logs and stuff. Like full blown.
Yo, want some trimmed armor?
Yo, got some Rune G, mate. Ooh, like no, he was fucking bitches up.
But I think his point is fair. I mean, he felt like that was where he needs to get, and it kind of sucks that for a lot of people that won't ever get there because he is a really experienced player, even if he. It's like kind of like with Hellman, right?
Yeah.
Where people are always surprised that he does so well. It's like, bro, yeah, you might have not seen him play for like 3 years, but he still was one of the best players like of all time.
Yeah.
So of course when he comes back, he still has the skill, but he just doesn't practice it. So it's the same case with Yoji, where he played for a long time, he developed all these skills, and he just puts them to use, which is very different to somebody who starts off being able to play 2 hours a day, right? But
yeah,
I do feel like we don't have to get to that point. No, not everybody needs a headhunter to have fun and all this sort of stuff. You really like trick yourself into this mindset.
Wait, are you saying
That's
that
what I
if
was
you
talking about
don't kill
earlier.
Awaken at 8 at least 5 times a day and have multiple shaped headhunters, then you're not playing Path of Exile?
I mean, in some people's heads, yeah.
I had
It's
this
a bit
Unfortunately.
exaggeratory, but like that's the perspective shift I'm talking about. Like there's so many other goalposts to reach now.
Yes.
There's so many other things you can accomplish. I don't know.
I think a lot of people
Even
just don't
crafting an
play for
item.
the sake of having fun. Like, I had this conversation on stream a couple of times, because I've been playing very little this week. I've been doing like 4 to 6 hour streams on average, and I've had lots of IRL stuff, so I haven't even been streaming every day. And I've had a lot of people like, Tarke, you haven't even done like all your Awakener stuff yet. You haven't done this, you haven't done that. I was like, yeah, I've just been having fun. Like, I've just been enjoying the game. It's like, no, it doesn't count because you haven't done all the new content yet. And it's like, no, I'm having fun. Like, it's chill. You know, like, no, it's not. It's not chill and it's not fun. Fuck you.
It's so right, because like there was this thing with like me and Quinn with doing Awakener and stuff. Dude, it drove me crazy. I didn't realize like I couldn't sleep. I was constantly angry, constantly frustrated. Shit wasn't happening in game. I was going fucking crazy. And then I realized that yeah, it was because everybody was just like, you're not allowed to have fun and do the things you want to do. You have to play the game this way. And it really fucked with me. So if
Awakener
people
8
put
when,
that pressure on
right?
themselves, dude, like
comparison, yeah, can crush.
that can make you go nuts, man. So yeah, I can see how it's very frustrating for some, for sure.
In some ways, we are the problem here, streamers. Players look at us and think, I should be doing that now. But really, like, if you play an hour or 2 a day, or a few hours a week, you should be like looking forward to getting your 8th watchstone and say, today on my Saturday day off, I'm gonna sit down and I'm gonna spawn the next couple round of conquerors, and I'm gonna try and defeat them and get my next watchstones. And like, there's good, like what I think Octavian was saying, there's like good progression points now with this new endgame system. So I don't know, really like embrace that if you can and enjoy that, because I think there is a lot of joy to be had there. Getting that like next kind of step is always like, I don't know, within sight, even if it's a little bit maybe spiky in the RNG now for the taunts, but separate issue.
I kind of realized after the race was over for the Awakener 8 kills, and there not really being a goal there anymore, that I wasn't really enjoying the Awakener 8 push as much. Like when that goalpost was like, but the chat was all about Awakener 8 win, Awakener 8 win. I was like, you know what, guys? I'm resetting my Atlas. So I reset my Atlas and I went again. It's like, I don't have Awakener 8. I can't even spawn him, but I get all these new things to do again, fresh start. I'm not like hamstrung by having all these like nice items in the stash that I have to use because they're good. No, I have nothing. I just have to make things work. So I did that instead. I'm really enjoying it. I'm almost at Awakener 8 again, but
Awakener 8 win, Noogie.
When you
I've
start
done
playing
2
the
and
game
5 on
again.
my 5-link lacerate glad. It's really good.
That's right.
Yeah. It's real good.
No, last rate's
You
already good.
inspired
One of my
Amy.
friends was
She's
playing.
yoinked your style. She's playing it too.
Nice.
But like, it's one of those things. Like, I've experienced a lot with doing just this test run because obviously I was doing like hardcore SF with absolutely zero gear. I was like there's nothing better than when you're getting excited. Like, oh, I got like triple res gloves with 5 life. Yes. Like, it's really fun just to completely reset your stash every now and again. I lost my shit, dude. Okay, you'll like this, Raiz. So this is like end of Act 2, 10% movement speed boots with triple 20 res.
Whoa.
I was like, yeah, dude, this is the shit. I was like, this is OP. And I think it legit had like 5 life, but I like pogged out so hard.
And then your whole chat's just
Like, what? Yeah.
who's this fucking noob?
Yeah.
But I do love that. Like Octavian talked about the progressions, dude. For the first time, I feel like in like at least 3 years, I am actually itemizing. Usually, whenever I played, even on SSF, it was like items were almost an afterthought. I would only pick up the necessary shit, and then I would just go, YOLO, and it would just go. Usually, especially when doing races, I would not pick up items past like level 93 or 94. I would filter all of the rare items out just to race that little bit faster. But it also never felt like, oh, I really need this like extra 100 health. It never felt like that because the shit that would kill you, it would fucking kill you regardless of how much HP you had. You rolled that double prod, Legion, whatever, that shit would just kill you. Like, it doesn't matter how much you have. Now, for me at least, every little bit counts. Making that one item that's going to have 30 chaos resistance might not seem like much, but that is one of those stepping stones, and I've been really, really, really loving it. It's probably the reason why I dread going to trade so much. Usually by now I would have been like, I want to try and play 100 different builds. I don't have the items to do it. This sucks. But the progression not only took so long that I got a lot of items that I can still continue to do it, but also I am kind of terrified of hardcore trading. I will admit it. Like, that shit. I keep hearing horror stories, and obviously I played it the last 2 leagues too after the initial SSF push, and it is just like not good. And then 24/7, whenever
Horror
I'm on
stories
Reddit.
about like the low population.
No, in hardcore specifically, yeah, there just not being any items. It's like SSF light, you can buy like a unique item, and everything else is really not there. Obviously, it's still pretty early on, and yeah, but then like even on softcore is just constantly. I messaged 6 people, and all 6 of them wanted to scam me. Like,
I'm pretty
I don't know
sure
about
the
that.
hardcore private league I'm starting next Friday is gonna have a healthier trade than hardcore trade.
Aw, come on.
I can imagine that.
Nah, because
come on.
the thing is, because we're all gonna be active for at least the first like 2 weeks.
I've been able to get some pretty decent gear together.
I think there's like a certain expectation.
Wait, you're saying you're not losing your mind trying to like trade?
There's like one thing I'm losing my mind over because it should be really easy, but it doesn't exist. The rest, not so much. I am considering swapping to bow instead of staff. I would need an eye level 85 bow so I can warlord slam additional proj for the cremation. But I can't find one that's eye level 85 and uninfluenced, but also low enough dex requirement that I can use it. Like a non-unique just doesn't exist. So what I'm probably going to do is buy up either quill reins or silver bows that are eye level 85 plus and corrupt them and hope they turn rare, and then 5 for 1 to get a high eye level bow base that's rare, uninfluenced, that's like low enough dex requirement.
Have fun with that.
Either that or niche thing, though. I mean, and now
like that's what I'm saying. Like that's really niche.
And you see, then do you have the option of buying, low cost uniques, and you have a tool to where you don't just have to run into the map. You found a way around it. I don't know. That seems like successful trade to me.
It's doable. That was kind of what I was saying. Like the rest of my gear I found fairly easily. I got I got the cremation helmet enchant. I got a plus skill gems amulet. I got incandescent heart with the right implicit, like a corrupted incandescent heart with the right implicit, all that stuff. That was all available in trade. It's not that bad.
Sounds good.
I think there's a lot of expectation with trade. Like it's like, oh, I go to trade and everything should be available to me. I'm like, No.
You
Why
saying
should
that
it?
the
It's just-
perfect
it's-
item should always
you
be
just,
available and affordable?
You know, interacting with other players, they pick up shit, right? Would you pick up that stuff? Probably not. Why should they?
See, I do feel I agree with you guys because I do think I am a little jaded when it comes to that because it was a couple leagues where I just played in SSF for too long, and then like 2 months into the league, I would switch to trade, and then it would be like, like I'm just trying to get a helmet with like 2 resists in life. There's nothing like. Then I check softcore trade, and it's like 273. I'm just like, oh, great, nice.
There's plenty of currency around though, right? So you could always just, trade and then craft something yourself.
Oh yeah, the
Dude,
trading.
crafting,
That's why I still really, even though fossils are still OP, and I still feel like farming up fossils and all that stuff is a little bit too easy for some people that dedicate enough time to it, so that it like fills up the market and all this. I do feel because of that, it works for the game. Where before, well, at least now, where before it was like this was just too available. You could make too many items with it. It was just kind of yikes. Because for instance, whenever it was especially highlighted when you were making private leagues without trading, it was just like, or even with the ones that where you couldn't pick up rare items, it was like, yeah, you just do delve. Like it really kind of ruined the entire idea of it. But now it's pretty good.
That was one thing I wanted to ask you. I know that you really enjoy Delve still, Octavian, but how do you guys feel about the side content, like the Alva missions, this and that? It feels so like sluggish to me now.
Oh, it's the opposite for me. I never cared for it. I was the guy who would end with like 300 missions of all of them, and now it's like I need to do this. I need this stuff. It's very different for me in that way.
The only thing that really ramps up for me is like Alva. And Alva is more like, oh, I need something from those missions, so I'll start setting it up, and you can go through it pretty quickly. I think for all the other, I'm like, oh, do I have another beast? Shit, I'm out. I'm like really trying to.
Yeah, no, like Ironheart, I don't mind because it doesn't feel like it's impacting on my game's flow. But Alva, I feel like it's impacting me a lot. Delve to me feels shit until you get to at least like 300-400. It just, I hate the early, just like, I just hate Delve to start. It's so rough.
Damn.
I like Delve.
No, I like it
every
past
time.
a point.
Every time I like go down,
I hate
regardless
anything
of
under
depth.
What's like
nice.
depth 80 now? Like 200 plus?
80 or 83?
Like 83.
83 is actually
170?
real early. Yeah, it's 175 or 176.
Everything under than 170 is just like, for me, it's just like, because until the mobs scare
I'm trying
you,
to make my
it's
bleed
just
axe
like,
here. I'm in like
standing there just following
150.
the
I'm
car.
getting my corroded fossils. I'm getting
Yeah,
I'm
like 120.
excited.
Hell yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Running those 78s. Yeah. See, but Alva, to me, Alva is cool now because it's like with other masters, you really just kind of have to do it. But to me, it's rewarding personally. I can see how somebody would dislike it, but with Alva, it almost feels like a sextant or a scarab, where you slap Alva onto something that's already like heavily juiced up, and if you're looking for cards specifically, it's like really good for that sort of stuff. So in that way, I really appreciate it. But I'm never like, oh, can't wait to do 4 Alva missions and run a temple. Like, no, that's never the case. It's always like
I love running the temple.
Using past stuff. You don't like the temple?
I love running the temple.
Oh, you run? Oh,
yeah. The temple
you're
itself.
sick.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Clear, like getting like efficient with like going, oh, that way, up there. Oh, what does this guy drop? Oh, do we get a a temple unique, so I can like multi-mod it if I hit the right regal. It's like,
oh no, dude. No, I don't mind the tempo. I don't know, but like I never really. I'm just like, oh shit. I used to be like that when it dropped maps that you needed, but now when it doesn't really drop the maps, I'm just like,
Maps don't really matter as much either. You just get so many maps now.
Oh yeah, what do you guys think about that? Actually,
like that minimizes, I think, the value of side content a little bit. You know, cities aren't as exciting. Alvas with map rooms aren't as exciting.
Well, it's not just that, but it's also the fact like you get so many just incursion items from Metamorph.
Right.
Like that's like it doesn't feel special to me anymore because it's like unless you're like I want to double corrupt this there's not really anything that you're gunning for, because you get all the rewards so much more accessibly from just mapping.
Yeah.
And then it just doesn't feel special to me. Oh, go on.
Actually,
Hit me.
hit him with the
Actually,
actually.
no. On this note, with getting things easy, does the Vol Temple thing still work with the 3-1?
Yes.
Oh my god! 'Cause I
Over
feel like
any
this is like-
T15 and Valdo's Rest will
Yes,
potentially
this-
3 for 1 to a Vol Temple.
So if you've ever wanted a Soul Ripper, this is the easiest league to ever get a Soul Ripper. Just saying.
Okay.
No, right? Because the card drops in Vol Temple. So you 3-1 your 15s, you get a Vol Temple out of it, and you run it. It has insane div cards.
It has to be a 15 in Valdo's Rest, but yes.
Oh yeah,
It doesn't work with just any 15.
Yeah. So you set up your Atlas, so you drop 15s in Volor's Vest, and you just keep 3-1ing those to get Vol Temples.
How is this a point for how Incursion Temple is good, though?
No. It's not. It's just like on the point of it is so easy to get Incursion items. I just wanted to interject that for anyone who ever wanted to, farm all temples, you can. Wanted to put that out there.
I'm a soul catcher main, dude.
Yeah.
I might just be
Reaper
burnt
stuff
out
outta
on
here.
Temple because I tried so hard to SSF get the upgraded Temple trap pods. Maybe that just killed it for me. Because I did a lot of fucking temples last league. That was painful.
Jesus.
It was bad. It was
that
really
sounds like
bad.
the worst thing ever, because you have to run the worst setup.
You had to
Trap
spam
bombs,
the
yeah.
trap rooms, and then you're always like, a blue wand with trap damage? That's just what I wanted. You're like,
Oh my god.
it was so bad.
Very cool.
Nightmare.
It was so awful. The amount of clips of me just like clutching my head as I got another blue scepter with like trap AoE, and I was like, oh, just give me the gloves.
I kind of get where you're coming from, because back when like summoner gear didn't exist, the only way to get like minion damage was through the temple with weapons. It was just like, yeah, it was the same thing. And then it kept dropping like staffs and stuff. It's just like, dude, just fucking come on, man. Yeah, so I get that for sure.
Yeah, I'm super not engaged in the doing temple stuff. I did like 2 because I was trying to get a double corruption room for a Calm's Heart that dropped, and it's still in my stash waiting to be double corrupted. It'll never get double corrupted. It'll be in the stash the whole league. I'm gonna forget about it. Yeah, I don't want to do it at all. I did actually find myself getting much more engaged in Betrayal this time around, because it was like finding how good crafting is now. Like crafting's just been getting better and better, but I'm like so interested in crafting with all the new influence bases and new exalts and stuff like that, and having a good wide selection of the Betrayal mods is like, yeah. So I did a lot of Betrayal actually, and rather enjoyed that. They're super rippy in the 216 maps, though. Tell you what, that pretty rippy.
Betrayal drives me crazy with the Katarina. Jesus.
The Katarina fight?
No, the Katarina, because I've been kind of like what you guys talked about earlier with catching up on builds and stuff. I've been catching up on like actual mechanics. I started doing like a lot of the bosses that I've never done and all the stuff, because I was always like, just do maps, lol. Maps are fun, lol. So this was a real opportunity for me to actually do bosses and stuff. So I started doing Katarinas. And now I really like doing the Katarinas. The fight is kind of a clusterfuck, but it's really spooky in that way. So I enjoy the adrenaline. I get really shaky after it. It's really fun. But then the way it fucks up the syndicate, oh my god.
This is the league number what? 4 of asking, why don't you just let it keep relationships? I don't understand. Like, they really want you to do Katarina. They keep trying to get you to do Katarina. They're like, I don't know.
Dude,
they've added scarabs to it. They add all the rewards to it. They made the fight, you get increased experience from the monsters in the room now, which, by the way, if you don't want to reset your chart, but you still want to get something out of your intel, you can just kill all the monsters and then leave and not kill Katarina, and you get I-83 mobs with 100% increased XP gained, which is pretty nice.
Oh, is it 200? So like all the way up to Katarina and then stop?
Yeah, and then just leave, and it won't reset your chart. You'll lose all the intel for the master for Katarina, but you were never going to use that anyway. So nice. You can just get a big boost of XP out of it. It's 200%, even better.
Katarina, yeah.
But like, I really, maybe there's something I'm missing from an outside perspective, not being down there working in the bones of the game. But I really don't understand why it would be so terrible for relationships to just stay.
Okay, so I am 7,100 fusings without a 6th link. Okay, I haven't gotten the 6th link entirely. Can you?
I gave up this league too.
It is the most infuriating thing every time I try and link something with people going, "Why don't you 28 quality it?" Because I'm fucking killing Katarina and she keeps resetting my shit, and my Hillock keeps either going out and doesn't want to go back in, or he becomes the safe house leader of something else, and it's just the worst. It took me an entire month to get Hillock into transport so I could quality my weapon. I can't get the 6th link. So it's like shit like that. I just don't understand why they won't change it. It is unimaginably frustrating, especially when they said that they would.
They could randomize like rank and position. That'd be fine. It's just it's losing the relationships that makes your chart so much less malleable. That's the problem. And unless they like make Katarina drop an exalt each time or something, I really don't think they're going to be able to make it up in terms of loot rewards.
It's simple. All they've got to do is just keep buffing Paradoxica, because that way they fix melee at the same time. And that way everyone wants to do Katarina.
Paradoxica doesn't drop from Katarina. Paradoxica drops from safe house leaders.
Oh shit! Fuck it, move it to Katarina.
So it would be worse to do Katarina.
Save.
If they buff Paradoxica.
I thought that was a cattle drop. Oh,
What the fuck?
Okay, move.
You've made it worse, Tarke.
Move all the loot to Katarina. Fix.
That's fucking funny. That's right, though. Yeah,
Oh,
I do remember dropping one, and I haven't done Katarina at that point. So yeah.
Oh god,
that's so funny. Yeah, I mean,
actually, because you don't kill safe house leaders in doing Katarina means you cannot get a Paradoxica from the safe houses you might have built up.
We should ask that. We should remember this, because I feel like this always is a question that like keeps coming up, but it never really, and they keep debating where they're like, oh yeah, we're changing this. Just kidding, we didn't, lol. It like once there's a dev episode or something, we really gotta throw down with that and just ask them, because I don't think they ever addressed it. They never were like, this is a technical issue or something, or this is why it makes sense.
I think we asked it once on one of the episodes, and they were kind of like, we're still making changes. But for the next one, I think we'll just have like a surprise like debate moment where we all get really serious and just like, okay, maybe like real talk, Chris. Like,
let's have a little intervention.
Yeah. Oh.
I could see it being maybe
no. We all need to appreciate. We're not allowed to talk for a minute. You need a moment. That was pretty good. You need moments of silence on that one, Niggy. I liked that.
All right. Sorry.
Wait, what's happening? I'm not.
You missed it, right? What? She said we need to have an intervention with GGG.
Oh, okay. Well.
Oh my god.
Yeah. Okay. Go on, Sir Octavian. You can go now.
Good.
Yeah.
There we go.
I don't know. I feel like if they made it so that it kept relationships, they probably need to roll back some of the buffs to Katarina, which now that they've to like Katarina's loot, giving you the whole chart and all that all at once. Which like maybe they don't want to do that now that they've buffed a thing. You don't like
they
to
could
roll
just change
that back.
the intel. Like they wouldn't have to nerf the rewards. They could just change the intel.
Yeah, make it generate slower. Sure. Make Katarina take 1.5 times as long.
What did they do with it? It's like I do one safe house and she's full intel.
Well,
like,
that was the thing as well, which was really weird about it, is they crazy buff the amount of intel she gets, which means that you get less manipulation per kata, which is kind of like nerfed kata in a way, because you're getting more katas per hour, but the reward's going to be less because you have less time to set up the rewards properly. So it's,
Yeah, but it is a lot more accessible. Like before, it was like you have to do 206 safe houses and then you can access Katarina. Now it's legit like you do one and it's pretty much there.
I remember making a video when it first came out because I was like power farming it, and like during the league, I was like 94 when I got my first Katarina or something, and I was like one of the first katas of the league. So I remember my video going up like day 4 or 5 or something. And yeah, I made a video which is kind of like, I think it was like, it was a great video because I used Mathels per Katarina or Katarinas per Mathel or something. It was my metric. And I was like, if Mathel's average character has finished all the endgame content by 93 and he makes a new build, then Mathel will never kill Katarina this league. And I think that's the best video I've ever made. And everyone's like, oh, that makes sense. Wow, that's kind of fucked up.
Oh, God. It's a shame too that this is the case, because when you do a Katarina fight and finish it, and you have a fully stacked roster, and then you've got all the loot rooms in that after the boss fight, oh, it's the best feeling. And you're like going through, and there's like 12 loot rooms there, and they're all stacked up, and they're all rank 3, and you're like explosions. You're like Exalt Slam in one room, and you're like doing another thing in another, and you're picking a Headhunter card out of another box. Feels good.
It's not the responsible decision, though. You know,
No.
Like
But
you
it
have
feels
the
good.
you have
so
the
good.
long-term buildup of
feels
all the
so good.
relationships.
Oh,
It
yeah.
feels sort of like ordering
dirty.
takeout or something.
Makes
where,
it even
like,
better. That makes it even better.
You know, you
Yeah, it's
get
like
that real
KFC.
nice cheeseburger
Yeah.
that night, but you didn't cook for yourself. It wasn't healthy. It wasn't cheap. It was the poor decision. But you get the instant
yeah.
gratification.
It's
Grab that
worse than
KFC
that.
bloody
It's when you
boy.
make a really bad decision and then you check your bank account and realize you couldn't afford that decision. So you get like the layers of regret afterwards.
And you lost your job as a result of the decision, basically, and all your friends.
Oh no.
Very good.
So don't do Katarina.
Yeah,
Basically.
don't Katarina.
Everyone will leave you.
But do it because
Well,
it feels
if
good.
you're
If you kind of have to, right? If you want certain flash mods or an item or something like that.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to my rarity Cinder Swallow. Hell yeah, dude.
I got my life regen Cinder Swallow.
I gotta. It was like my first one was like crit, life regen, and stun, and I'm like, well, I need all of those. Thank you very much.
That's all
And then
that.
the second one was like rarity crit, which I got from the first one, and like some other useless shit. I'm just like, bruh, like, come
You should
on.
have picked the right one the first time, mate.
I should have, coulda, woulda. I
What do
took the
you need?
rarity, by the way, and Czech got really angry at me. That now I can't sell the
Nice.
flask, and I'm just like, yeah,
Classic.
you're right.
Oh no.
Speaking about random RNG bosses and stuff, how do we feel about the current conqueror spawn rate?
Fine.
Okay, so this is like there's two separate parts to this. The spawn rate, I think, isn't that bad. Like the time, if we average it out, isn't that bad. It's the inconsistency of it. That's the real problem. It's so spiky. Sometimes it's 3 maps, sometimes it's 40 maps. People think their hideout's bugged. It's like and you need this because, like, think about this from like the perspective of someone who's going to sit down for an hour. I was talking about earlier, like, set that goal to like kill your conqueror for the day. You sit down for an hour, you're like, you don't know. It could take you 5 hours, or it could, as like a casual player, or it could take you 30 minutes. There's no way you can like look forward to that.
Feedback.
Yeah,
I think that's one of the big problems. Like with Elder and Shaper influence,
countdown, right?
like if you're trying to build a Red Elder, for instance, there's obviously spikes of RNG involved in that. If you have a tenuous link between one corner of the Atlas and another, and Shaper decides, nah, fuck you, buddy, there's like 5 influenced maps, and that's a big setback in terms of time. But there's still feedback there. Like you saw what happened, you know why it happened, you had the tenuous link, if you understand all the influence and how that used to work. But with Conquerors, there's nothing like that, you know? You're just like banging on a door. You have no idea when someone's going to come and open it, and you're just sitting there knocking over and over again. And it feels bad as a result, even if, as you know, Ziggy said at the start of his input there, that like it on average isn't that bad.
I think it also doesn't help people trying to understand the Atlas. So I had a break from streaming for like 3 days, and I kind of lost track of what I was doing, and I was still like unlocking watchstones on my Atlas. And I was like, wow, I've been getting really bad RNG. I've just run like 20 maps and I haven't had any spawn. I realized I hadn't set up my watchstones correctly to like unlock the next one. But because there's no visual feedback until one spawns, it's quite easy that if you're not paying attention, you're still like unlocking the Atlas, that you can screw yourself in that way. And I think that's where a lot of people have run into issues where they think like something's broken, but it's because their watchstones are in the wrong place to get a spawn there. And then there's no visual feedback on conquerors themselves, so they combo together quite poorly, I think.
And also, I think it's a buggy piece of shit. Tinfoil hat on. Switching hideouts is the new meta. Running them on the same region multiple times increases the chance of spawning versus just running random ones. It's all fucked. Okay. I couldn't get a master when I was running random ones. I couldn't get a conqueror in like 30 hours of playtime, but I ran one region specifically, and I switched hideout. By the way, just heads up, I switched hideout. Okay, Instant spawn. Second region, 2 maps spawn. Next region, 1 map spawn. I mean, it just can't be fucking coincidence, dude. It can't be.
You channeled full Quinn for a second there.
It was ridiculous, dude. It made no sense. What were we talking about?
RNG conquerors.
Oh, right.
Oh god.
Oh, I hate how you can still progress the conquerors with white maps, but I only hate it
Yeah.
because they are so infrequent. Like when they were talking about how you're going to be seeing a conqueror every like, what was it, 4 or 5 maps? They said, or 5, 6, and I was just like, oh, that seems extremely frequent. Fucking, I wish they stuck with that, dude. Like, what the hell? That
So-
doesn't seem to the case for me at all.
I think I was having this conversation with like Amy or something the other day. It's like they solved this problem back in Betrayal, where it's like you're interrogating someone. Kirak is the worst detective, right? Like, so June, she's like interrogating people. She's gaining intel towards finding the safe house. She locates the exact location of the safe house. You read that shit. Kirak's like, just go knock on random doors for a while until you find them, or until they get sick of you smashing down the neighborhood and show up. Like, what the fuck, dude?
He
We call
feels
this an
so unnecessary as an NPC. Like, once you've built the map device, because it's also it's one of those things that's like, oh, now you need to
Every
talk to
human has value.
Kirak, so you can now click on Zana and intuate who that. Like, why do I then have to
What do you
speak to
mean?
Zana afterwards? It's so
He's
stupid.
there so that at the end, spoilers.
I know
he's
he
there
like
so that at
throws
the end
himself
he
in
can
front of the
take-
bullet,
Yeah,
but
he
it's
can take
like
a bullet.
Protects
Zana.
the queen,
it's
dude.
but
That's the most
they
important
could
role.
okay, they could sacrifice him. Like if you changed it so he builds the map device, you fight like one conqueror, then he sacrifices himself. It solves the issue.
Also, spoilers. He doesn't actually properly sacrifice himself. He lives.
He's fine after.
It's so
He got better.
pointless. Like it just frustrates you that you need to talk to Kirak to be like, this is where the thing is, to then talk to another bitch to then go
It's
there.
because it makes it's called world building, Tarky. The
It's
thing you
not
tried to
world
teach me about.
building.
It's world building, so you have an emotional investment
you-
when he protects the queen at the end.
Are you supposed to just
Hello?
like fiddle with the map device yourself though? Like there needs to be a bridge between you beating Kitava and you deciding let's go do maps. Because Zana's in the maps. She stuck herself.
No, that's what I'm saying. He's good for the early bit. Like the building the map is
So
great.
keep him there.
That I like. I don't like it when you're actually like okay, so you fight the Conqueror, right? You do him 3 times. You then have to talk to Kirak to know where the location is, to then talk to Zana to open the portal to the location. That's
Would it be better if
meaningless.
Kirak just opened the portals and he had his own like portal design?
yeah. Like,
That'd be
why
cool.
do we
Yeah.
need him and Zana to do one thing? Because it's one job split between 2 people. It's one extra click that shouldn't be there.
What if
Called having a
Zana was
team.
okay?
Friends.
Bear with me. What if Zana was dead? And
Whoa.
Kirak is the new guy that we're exploring the Atlas with.
Yeah,
and we're
I'm into it. I've
discovering
been
all
saying
this
for a
lore
fuck Zana.
Post
Zana's boring.
Zana death.
Legit.
We're discovering all
Okay,
this lore like post.
hang on. Story Nick, if you're watching this, I want you to take Zana out back and shotgun that bitch in the back of the head. Lenny, fucking of
Whoa!
mice and men. She's had her time. Stroke the hair, look over the cornfields, and just shoot the bitch. She's
No,
boring
that's-
as fuck.
Come on,
so
the new
boring.
Awakener, Shaper.
Bully.
We need Elder and Uber Elder. You really think that's not gonna be Xana, dude?
I know. I want to kill her.
100%.
She's so boring. I just want to get rid of
Oh,
her.
she's gonna be killable at some point for sure.
100%
Yeah.
need to get rid of
She's
her.
gonna go crazy for sure.
Yeah.
She's already kind of crazy.
She's going to want to kill all the exiles because she sees that they constantly become crazy themselves.
Oh, I like that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I said this story before, but I'll just reiterate one more time. When we were in New Zealand, we had this, like, dinner, it was VIP dinner, there were, like, devs on the table, and Raiz, Octavian, and myself were on the same table as Nick, the guy who wrote the story. And I said to him, I'm so bored of Zana. And he kind of looked at me like, you're in for more Zana. Like, and it's just like, ugh. I was bored of her before this, and now with Conquerors, she's, like, front and center. Just like, just get rid of
He
her.
was bored of her before she was in the game, dude. He hates
Zana's
that.
just like, she's got nothing
I
going
like
on, man.
Squad W, man. Calm down, Tarky.
Boring,
Sheesh.
dude,
First the gay comments, like this. Jesus.
bro. Fuck you.
I think we're gonna be killing Xana for sure. I think that's natural progression. I think she's gonna be like, Kirak sacrificed himself. Why didn't you jump, bitch? And then she's gonna try and fight you. That's the new story.
Be a fun twist if she wasn't a baddie and we still had to kill her because she wanted to kill us.
That's even better.
Yeah.
Like she was actually a good person. She's just like doing what she thought was right. We still have to kill her. Oh. I'd like that.
Saying we're the baddies once again.
Yeah, just like lean into that shit. Go for it.
Nice.
And then in PoE 2, the egg thing at the start of the trailer, that's her reincarnating to test us again.
Oh, great. So she's Dark
I was with you.
Phoenix from
I was with
X-Men.
you for a while.
That's piety. She's coming back, man. That's piety.
No. Everything with piety, please.
Okay, genuinely, what would be the worst like story plot they could do in PoE 2, which is somewhat realistic?
Ooh.
If we have to fight the fucking trio again.
No, not one of those. What could it be, really? I mean, it's definitely going to be something with, like, Sin and Innocence. The whole, like, there's too much foreshadowing about Sin eventually being kind of like the bad guy. I feel like it's too obvious. Yeah, because it's, from the very beginning, it's like this murder child, crazy red-eyed guy. And then he's kind of a nice guy. I don't know. There's something ominous about him. But I guess that would be kind of a good story because there is a lot of. You don't think there's foreshadowing for Sin to be a bad guy?
No, it's really obvious, but it's kind of like I think it's too obvious. Like he built the beast. There's all this shit going on. Then he's the one collecting all the soul juice, and you're just kind of like watching him collect the soul juice. Like that seems cool, you know.
That's normal.
Yeah.
I'm helping this.
Yeah.
We help psychopaths quite often.
Yeah.
I mean, the current league mechanic stands as the strongest example of that. Tane is not a reasonable human being.
Oh,
like,
no. On that,
given the circumstances of his childhood and all that, I understand why he's a bit fucked in the head, but he certainly is.
On that note, how sad is it that there's like a part missing from this league? Like they didn't get it finished, I feel.
Oh yeah, no, it's
you mean
sad.
filling
You
the
know how
bar in
you
the
go
lab?
to the lab and you're like, yeah, you failed the experiment.
right.
Maybe next time. You fill up the goop after the first time.
every
You're like,
single
all right, we're going to succeed with the experiment. And he's like, you failed the
Yeah.
experiment. Maybe next time. There is no next time. There's no. It's like there was supposed to be another step there, another bit, but such a bummer.
Metamorph 2! Yes!
I don't know.
Maybe
when
but-
it goes core, they won't. I think that if this goes core, they should get rid of Tane's Lab. I said this a bit last week, but I fucking hate Tane's Lab. It's so dead.
Really?
Yeah.
Just because it feels underwhelming in terms of the challenge
there's
of
no
the fight?
real payoff to it. Just rebalance the reward structure. Like, okay, I think it's also one of those things of Tane will most likely go core, because it's a pretty well received league mechanic. It's genuinely fun. It's more engaging than Ironheart is currently. They could replace Ironheart, but people are too attached to the NPC. But I think that a 10% occurrence Tane would make the underwhelming lab feel even more underwhelming when it takes so long to then get to it. And I've had good rewards from it. Like, I've had multiple 3 exalts dropping from once. Like, I've had really good rewards from it. But it just feels like a super delayed chest for the sake of a super delayed chest.
I don't know. We had to
I don't know
devil's
about that.
advocate.
We did
To
talk
play
about this
devil's
last time,
advocate. We did. Maybe I shouldn't go too in depth on it then. You
No,
want
go
me
on.
to rant, Tarke? Okay. I like dropping a league specific shiny thing from the mechanic. You know, I like that there's the organs that you collect and they have the random rolls as to potentially having valuable currency items or something. You know, I get excited when I see an eye level 83 eyeball drop, for instance. Like I get a little bit excited, and I feel like it would deaden the mechanic a little bit if it didn't have that extra bit of spice. I don't know.
What do you guys think about a league that would be like finishing up all the leagues? So the Harby language, the like Abyss,
Yeah.
Yes, go.
cities, like Breach, Other Dimension, like all
Finishing
of
off the
that. It would
stories.
just be a league where it would be like all of it.
They
in one
introduced
thing.
like a janitor NPC, and he's like, I'm here to clean up everyone's unfinished shit, and he's just polishing up. Like you collect cleaning supplies, and he goes sprays Einhar and like fixes that up a bit.
We've been fucking
sprays...
with like all these dudes, and eventually they just had enough of our shit, so they came together to form like a super union, and they just like finished their mechanics.
Like come
And then
down
we
like
have
the
to feed them.
Avengers.
Yeah.
I love that you
Avengers.
mentioned Harbinger, because that was the first league where I really felt this, and I've had it with a few leagues where I felt like there was supposed to be a next step. Something was supposed to happen with the Harbinger language. They had like an idea for a concept for how this could go to a next thing. Like there was a next step to the story and the mechanic. I mean, like the kind of story of the mechanics, right, of what would happen. And yeah, I really felt like that. I was bummed out in Harbinger then, and like now I feel it again with Tarke having his like missing bit. Yes.
One of the topics I wanted to talk about was like what we were hoping for like the next patch, like from a balance point of view. But I guess we could talk about it from a league section. Are there any particular kinds of league that you would hope to see more of, since we've just had this massive boss focus?
More
boss focus.
No, I'm gonna let my bias show us here. I'm agreeing with these guys. Like I like the slower, more considered playstyle against dangerous boss enemies. I didn't really enjoy Legion very much, for instance.
I mean, Legion was supposed to be that, no?
Legion is a million monsters across the screen with a time limit. It's kind of the opposite of Metamorph.
Yeah, but like the way they were presenting it was like you build this juice up to fight like the big bad bossy type of thing.
Oh, you mean
it
the
didn't end
timeless
up
domain?
like that at all.
Yeah, no, timeless domain is not.
There's like no
Timeless
fight
domain
going
is not
on
a
in
boss
there
fight.
even. Like I don't know. Like the whole idea of having these two, like everyone combat each other, there's no like you don't get that feel at all in Legion. You don't feel like the armies are finally like meeting up and now it's like time to battle it out.
A couple days ago in a map that I was running a Legion in, I cleared almost all of the Legion, but around the corner I had accidentally left like 3 white mobs from each faction, and I just decided to sit there for a minute to see how long it would take for them to significantly damage each other. They just didn't. Like the mobs fighting each other thing is purely visual dressing. It doesn't actually matter.
I mean, dude, they had nice builds, man. Tanky builds. Come on, man. Like shit. It's the same thing for the Lunaris and Solaris thing. When you're entering Solaris Temple, there's like ribbons fighting with the guys.
Yeah.
I mean, they don't do a lot.
Thematically, that's nice.
Yeah.
Same for the bridge, actually. Bridge has the same thing.
I don't mean to frame that as my main complaint with Legion. It's kind of a minor thing, if anything. More my main complaint with Legion was that I'm not a big fan of clear everything in 10 seconds. I'd rather have a, big lumbering slow boss to murder.
I think the one thing which is really nice about Metamorph is, yes, it can feel bad if you're playing a build you know has bad single target, but you can still just kill the content slower. You don't really feel locked out of the content. Whereas there are multiple builds I wanted to make in Legion, and I was like, this will feel really fucking bad for the League mechanic. I haven't had that yet, where there's a build where I'm like, this feels dreadful for Metamorph.
On that note, like, I'm pretty with you guys on the idea of more bosses. I'm loving it this league, but I tend to lean towards the overcomplex, really engage, like lots you can engage with. So I kind of like the synthesis stuff. I know, but kind of the synthesis stuff. But synthesis without a timer, that sort of mechanic. Like take the timer away from that style of content and give me more of that style of content next. That's what I would want.
I mean, it's been a while since we've had
next league,
because synthesis was before Legion, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's been a while since we've had a complicated league, because Legion was pretty straightforward, Blight was straightforward as hell, this is very straightforward, so maybe we'll get a complex one coming up.
I worry that the reception and the tone of the reception that they got about synthesis will kind of make GGG shy away from doing that sort of thing again. Like there was some pretty big issues with synthesis, and it was definitely further screwed by the fact that it took a month for them to fix it. But as a concept, I think that stuff is really good, and you take the timers away and fix those issues, and I think pretty nice.
It doesn't bring anything. I feel like it just doesn't bring. It's not a good trade-off for GGG, because it felt like they were trying to make the mechanics complex so that people who were coming into PoE had something new that they could look at. So it's not just like balance changes, but then people who were already playing PoE would have something complex to deal with. But the reception, like Ziggy mentioned, was always just like, I just want kill mob. And then yeah, like, ooh, breach, best league of all time. It's just like,
Oh no.
well, fuck, man. Like, I guess if this is the mentality of the average player guy, then yeah, I mean, there's just no win for them.
I had a
Gib kill circle.
I had a really good idea for the Ultimate Carve League. You know the early like learning video games where it's kind of like they would try and fit like equations into the game so people would learn. So the new league mechanic, the way you damage the monsters is you have to answer like math equations.
Oh, Math Blaster.
Yeah.
Okay.
Math League. Yeah?
Dude, I'm screwed.
I mean, that's sort of what Path of Exile is already,
Yeah.
just a few steps removed. You know, you do all the math to put your build together, and then your build hitting monsters is aggressively answering those questions.
That's what PoB is nowadays.
Get like a little on-screen like Sudoku. If you finish it, you get a damage buff. Like, let's go.
Mm. Mm. Yeah. Okay.
You have one of those. You have one of those puzzles from lab, but at the start of every map, and if you can't solve it, then you don't get to run the map.
There you go. Perfect. Oh.
Yeah.
It should have been implemented in Blight, honestly. Before you can spawn your tower, you need to solve a Sudoku. Been great.
I like my math and my puzzles to be very cleverly hidden in games so that I don't recognize them as math and puzzles, and then I enjoy them. But if I know they're a math or a puzzle, I don't like it. I don't like it. You gotta hide that shit.
What if it guarantees gives you a
Abstracted
headhunter?
a bit. No, unethical. No headhunter for me.
What if it's a shaped headhunter?
No response.
He's thinking about it.
You have to think about that for a little bit.
The only puzzle that there should be when it comes to this would be like to have entry to Reddit. I feel like they should do like timed 3 questions. You have 10 seconds to answer them, and there are questions about the game. If you can't answer them, you can answer in like a week, maybe when you learn.
There was
Otherwise,
a game,
you can't post.
There was a little game, I think it was called The Kingdom of Loathing, which was a flash game online that had something similar to that, where before you were allowed to play the game, you had to answer basic grammar and spelling questions, and they wouldn't let you in unless you could answer them correctly.
I would be fucked. That's actually not funny. I take that back. Never mind.
That's pretty good. So on a slightly more serious note, what would you want the focus to be on next week? A lot of people just say like wands, but more generally, because I feel like we're in a bit of a weird spot now where they've hit most of the main archetypes and stuff. So I feel like they need to think a little bit harder when it comes to having a focus at this point.
Not to be a snarky arsehole, but I'd love to see like a bow patch or something, you know? Like something addressing bows,
Yeah.
I feel.
Yeah.
That's fucked up, dude. Some GGG dev is crying right now.
Hey, we got some really nice extra bits for bows. I like a lot of what they did, the add-ons and stuff, and the blister stuff's pretty sweet. Although artillery blister's a bit weak.
Yeah.
Yes. I just want like some new bow skills and some like new ways of building bow characters that don't feel so similar.
Yeah.
I feel like somebody should make a compilation. You know how with Game of Thrones, there's these compilations of like actors finding out shit and reacting to it from season 8, where everybody was disappointed. So that there was like a lot of foreshadowing of like actors just kind of going, yeah, it's gonna be great. It's like we could do the same thing when it comes to bows. And GGG talking about how this is going to be a bow league, with Rory kind of going like, oh yeah, I think we just didn't quite hit the mark there. We could have like nerfed this a little bit more. And look, there's quite a bit of foreshadowing that this isn't exactly going to be a bow league. So
there were quite a few occasions where I was talking to just like a couple of programmers and this and the other before the league, and I was trying to plan up my league starter. I'm like, oh, you guys gonna be playing any bow builds? I'm like, no. No. And I will admit, I did find it slightly worrying that out of like the 4 or 5 people I spoke to from GGG, none of them were like, no. Yeah.
I really like what they did with Lightning Arrow and Ice Shot.
Mm.
The changes to those
Yeah.
skills. They're like relatively minor changes, but I feel like they add a lot more punch to those skills, and coupled with the chill and the shock changes. And I like the idea behind like the support gem stuff, and the support gem changes for it, I think pretty good. So they like definitely fleshed out some new stuff for it, like being truthful. But yeah, this feeling that like there wasn't really a bow patch, I think stems from the fact that there wasn't really any new bow skills, was there? Like that's a big part of it for sure. We had ensnaring arrow, but that's like a support utility skill.
And then Galvanic,
and you can't use it if you have PS.
What was the league that came out with the melee patch?
Legion.
That was Legion. See, I feel like if those two things were switched, we would have been better off. So like melee would have done a lot better with Metamorph because you need more single targets, so you have more damage. And then Legion would have done a lot better with bows because you have high clear and like all this sort of stuff. So maybe now would have played into it, because I feel like a bow patch where bows are notorious for its kind of low single target without heavy investment in like the highest increase in difficulty we've ever had in PoE. Yeah. It's like, hey, bows are squishy and they don't do damage, but they have high clear. But also, here's a patch that you need.
It's like a big single target league.
Survivability. Yeah, so
it would have been perfect to push melee.
It is a bit awkward how a lot of the best bow builds right now aren't what I would even call bow builds, because it's like Puncture Bleed is really good, Poison Scourge Arrow is good, Caustic Arrow, Toxic Rain, but like traditional bow builds.
You're one of those. Yeah. Okay, Cyclone isn't melee. All right, buddy.
No. It's like, no, because I play a lot of dot bow builds, but it's one of those things of they're a degen build. When most people want a bow build, they want that hit based. They're thinking like Ellie hit and shit, you know.
If someone's in my chat and they're asking for a bow build, and I say you should try some Caustic Arrow, they're going to be like, no, a bow build.
Yeah.
It's the common sentiment. It is a skill that you use with a bow, but it's a spell that's pretending to be an attack. It's not Ice Shot. It's not Lightning Arrow.
I agree. I don't think Sunder is melee either. Yeah. not real melee, you know.
No, like again, I've played Caustic Arrow every single league for the last like 3 years, but I don't feel like I've played a proper bow build since Harvey.
Because people just need to be a little bit more specific.
Yeah.
I want we would like attack-based bows to feel better.
Yeah.
That's basically it. It's like if people make it so complicated. Oh, we can't call it this, we can't call it that. It becomes this like impossible thing. It's the same thing with melee. What is real melee? Doesn't matter. People want strike skills to be better, right? So just say, I want strike skills to be better. Like there are plenty of skills that work with the melee tag, but okay, if it has AoE, is it now a melee or not a melee? If I use Conk Effect, am I now melee? I mean, it doesn't matter.
Question, Moogie, is every build technically a melee build because I use my hands to input it on the mouse?
And is every build technically a spell because it has base damage of a weapon, so the weapon is just the base damage for the melee spell? I mean, you can reduce it down to like everything is a spell now. I mean, what? Like just.
Listen.
No, it's the same thing with like Caustic Arrow that pretends to be a spell, where it's like, well, I mean, you're just self-casting Sunder, which is just a physical spell that's projected out from you. You know,
I think it's down to the skill tree. The skill tree defines, right? It's like kind of what Octavian talked about before, with the high item level, low base bows. Like that was, you wouldn't have a problem with that back when everybody played bow SRS. It's like, it's pretty clear that bow SRS was not a bow build, but like Caustic Arrow,
right?
That's bow.
Yeah,
kind of.
Kind of. The thing is that the water's muddy a lot once you start, trying to define this.
You can. I think you can reasonably call it a bow build. I think you can also reasonably be aware that there's differences between that and when someone's asking to play Rain of Arrows or Ice Shot or Lightning Arrow.
Yeah, one's
like there is a delineated difference.
Noogie's point is very valid for life in general. You get caught up in arguing weird semantics too much that it's very easy to lose sight of what actually matters.
I mean, that's just every Twitch stream, isn't it?
I agree with
Two
that.
people who agree with one another arguing about how the other person said it.
So what can they do at this point to like redeem themselves? What can they do to help the
Give bows more defensive tools.
But
That's
Iron
true, though.
Reflex is armor, dude.
It's honestly, this is
Sure.
where I feel like the whole classic, it's good players can identify problems, but if terrible at solving them thing comes up. Like, because
Well,
it's hard to put my
pretty
finger on
stuff.
like what it is. Because like, yeah, I feel like I didn't get what I wanted out of it for as far as bows. Like I've been looking forward to a big bow patch at some point, but you know what was it that I missed? Because like, I mean, there's some good stuff there, and honestly, bow builds are like, you know, they can be fine. They can do the things they can do pretty well. No one's really saying bow builds are bad. It's just I don't know, maybe
think
they're
that
just lacking some options, or
I think one thing for me personally is I was hoping for the builds to feel more unique from one another. And a lot of the bow skills are still just like right click and it's just a different color. Like split arrow doesn't play differently to ice shot or lightning arrow. And because they didn't do anything crazy with like changing how chain and fork or anything like that works for bow attacks, they all kind of scaled the same. And it's not like they made, like it might have been too niche, but they could have gone down the route of like, this is the single target cold bow skill, this is the single target like lightning bow skill. Because then they could have gone down that route where it's kind of like you've got blast rain if you want to do like single target fire attacks, then maybe having a single target ice shot. And because I've been thinking about this a lot with PoE 2, we're going to go into having like the 8-6 links, and I was thinking I play a lot of traps. Traps are going to feel so amazing when you like flamethrower trap, lightning spire, side strike, you have all these crazy 6 links. But for bows, it's kind of like one clear skill, one single target skill, and you just pick whichever one does the most damage. Like most bow builds boil down to which does the most damage, and because they all play exactly the same, you just pick that one. Would you not agree with that?
But think about this
the
though.
same way though.
Not necessarily, because you could be like, I want to play a projectile trap, or I could play a chaining trap, or I could play an AoE trap. Like there's fundamental difference in how
you can take that, right? You can use a bow and then put it on a trap, and that way you're a bow character, but you have different things that you can use.
But like with bow, you have the
Ice shot trap.
AoE raining down stuff. You have the, you know, barrage style. You can put it on a ballista. I don't know. You can go fire shot, point blank. Like all these things
that's
that you're
cool.
saying are still like valid for bows. Especially with 2.0, when you have more, you know, like you can have your decoy in there. You can have your things where you set up something where you can play around it, right? You can have a juiced up, I don't know, ensnaring arrow and all that set up with your far away shot, your close. Like you can even like there's a skill gem called point blank. Like you can have point blank as a skill gem as well.
What?
Like, pew, pew, I mean,
I like that a lot, though.
you
That's
know,
a really
I mean,
great idea. The
it's a
close
lot of
far,
tools.
that's cool.
I mean, that would like I would think that would be the end game of bows. I think PoE 2 addresses a lot of the issues that we have right now with bow.
Yeah, like I'm imagining this. I'm imagining like us shooting an ensnaring arrow and then using a bow skill that blasts us backwards, and then firing a skill up in the air that is on a delay. It will rain down as you're firing your other direct, you know, shooting forward skill, and you're like using this multitude of skills, maybe cycling them in different orders, things like that. Right? It's like, whoa, shit.
See, because finally PoE for me, I used to fucking complain about PoE so much, dude, and now it's like they're addressing all these things with the game, and that was one of the biggest just fucking annoyances for me for the longest time. That all you did is right click, like you would never ever do anything. And now I haven't played a build this league where I didn't need the second skill bar to actually use my stuff. Granted, I'm a big, you know, smoke mine user, so there's 2 buttons right there and that sort of stuff. But I love that you actually use multiple skills, and to actually have the tools for every build to utilize that fully, and the theory craft, and actually position yourself. That's such a mind-blowing concept in PoE, because fights are not very tactical unless it's a boss. You just stand and shoot. But now to have like standing further away from the boss is actually like a good thing, or standing closer, and you can choose, you can make a decision where you can make a mistake while playing. I love that. That's so fun. That's what's been so rewarding about the poisons that I've been playing. Because Plague Bearer kind of serves that purpose, where it's like you have to use it at the right time, or you fucked up. You made a mistake.
It's really good.
Toggle abilities are so
great.
I'm desperately waiting for a toggle main skill ability. Because it's been a while since
Toggle
we've
main
had
skill.
like combo-y stuff.
Oh.
Because like Essence Drain Contagion, was that the last? Like Essence Drain
Right.
Contagion, then I guess like Volatile Dead, Desecrate. What else have we had?
You mean like something that switches between a single target and clear mode? Because wouldn't that just be Bladestorm? Or am I misunderstanding?
No, like an ability which
Toggle
like it could
all
like
damage.
cycle through different forms or something. Like it's
Oh.
quite common. Like if you've ever played like Dota or League of Legends, there'll be a lot of abilities where it's got like 3 stages and the skill changes on like use. And they tried to do like Glacial Hammer on the 3rd hit does the big freeze, but like having more like inbuilt kind of combo-y skills or something like that. Where they go through like different cycles or like more Essence Rain Contagion, like 1-2 things, you know.
They could make an entire ascendancy around that.
Yeah.
That'd be cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Bladestorm is a good example of that. I feel like that works really well.
Bladestorm's really nice. Yeah, I like that a lot. Yeah.
I love Bladestorm. That was the last main build that I played. So good, so good. Love
Tech
it.
Slam would
Really
be-
enjoyable skill.
Tech Slam is sort of like that too. If they made it more consistent rather than a chance, like if every other hit with Tech Slam was the big hit or something like that. I still think like it's a cross that I bear for no good reason anymore, but I still think Tech Slam could use some more attention to make it more interesting.
You know, they could tie it. Honestly, they could tie it with the sand and blood or whatever thing. Like tied with some of it. Like if you're in the different stands, you can choose how it interacts with your charges.
Sure. Blood and Sand Stance is. I guess
maybe
Blood
they,
and Sand
maybe they
is
need to
stealth.
make another. Maybe they need to like make a fire and ice or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Or
Because like it's got
somewhat
sort of physical
thematically,
leanings, if that makes
yeah.
sense.
correct.
Yeah, I think more stuff like Blood and... I think that's also another reason why, from like a... I think the main reason why people complain that this meta feels like uneventful or whatever, it's just the fact that we had a patch with like no ascendancy changes and like basically no skill gem changes. So I think the next patch, if this one didn't like quite feel it for you, I think a lot of people will just get the next patch just because Bestra is a great example. A lot of people didn't enjoy the league, but they loved the league because of all the amazing ascendancy changes that we had. So, are there any ascendancies at the moment which kind of you feel like could do with some tweaking? Scion is an obvious one because Scion's just kind of like...
Dude, this entire conversation, because I'm pissed off about how Leap Slam bugs out all the time. He gets stuck on shit. And I've just been looking at Slayer right now. I'm just like, Jesus, why doesn't anybody play this anymore? Such a nice ascendancy, but just there's no interest in that.
I think it's just because like Impale is so broken, so people like just default into Champ, or they're like, oh, Glad is tanky, so they go like Glad with bleeds.
It doesn't give you like consistent. Like the problem is with a lot of bossing is that the leech fades too fast. So it's not like whenever you need that good Slayer, you know, juice, it's just not available.
At
At
least
least from a
Slayer
hardcore
Leech,
perspective.
yeah, the Slayer Leech is certainly stronger than regular Leech, even by a decent margin,
Yeah.
I would say.
It is.
But it's not more powerful enough and more different enough from regular Leech to feel like a identifiable aspect of the Ascendancy anymore. Like old Slayer Leech was nutty and too strong, but was also like recognizably way cooler and better than regular Leech. Like it was Leech on steroids. It doesn't really feel like Leech on steroids anymore, even if it is numerically strong. I think that's part of the problem with Slayer, is that it's a bundle of stats that doesn't really feel like it has much of an identity.
Yeah, and with like gloves and a belt that do the same thing, like a little bit weaker, it's a bit like, yeah, I had it on my champion. I'd like Slayer feeling Leech on my champion. It's like...
There's not a big selling point. It's like, oh, you get a nice culling, but we get culling on a lot of things now. You get nice AoE. Well, you can like solve AoE different ways. You get leech. Well, it's in the belt and the gloves. Like everything you do with like Slayer is solved in some way, and the whole charge thing is just too much of a gimmick to really.
The base crit is
But then
nice,
what-
but like,
What would you
it's
do
not
with
got enough
the
support,
Slayer
really.
then? Like, because
I would like.
it seems like numbers-wise, it's still very strong.
It's powerful enough to be used for sure.
Yeah.
I played a Slayer this league. It's still strong enough to push all the content in the game. It's just
needs identity.
It needs something. Yeah, it needs identity. It needs something more interesting.
Bit of flavor.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Leech
Yeah.
is OP down now. I feel like
Leech is a dangerous thing to hinge an ascendancy's identity on. Yes. So maybe lean more into the Slayer as Slayer of Gods and Kings kind of ascendancy. And so
Right.
you build more power into that whole aspect of it with the cull and the more damage against unique enemies and the more attack speed against unique enemies and things like that. Like that feels kind of diluted.
Yeah.
That's
Honestly.
kind of what they did with Assassin. I feel like it works pretty well.
Yeah, if it had like a
Assassin
node.
is a good spot.
Yeah.
It's really cool.
If it had a node kind of like that, where it's like it has these bonuses when it's against uniques and not against uniques or something, that'd be really nice.
What do you guys think they need to do with Raider? Because like you can't keep
Raider
juicing it up.
is okay.
Yeah, but
I
that's
don't
the
know.
thing, right?
It's a similar
Not
spot to
minor
Slayer. It's a bundle of numbers. It's a bundle of numbers that doesn't have a lot of identity. It's really hard
But they're
to
good
have
numbers.
identity for all. However, was it 19 ascendancies in the game?
38 in a year.
Yeah. So I'm a little worried about identity crises with that many ascendancies too. But it's a little hard to have individualized.
Did you forget about that,
identifiable
Raiz?
aspects for all of them?
No, I the second he said that, I was like, yep, 38, by the way.
Raiders really interesting though.
I would
do
like
some
to see
interesting
the
stuff with
frenzy
Raiders.
charge one get a little bit of a
Yeah, the
touch
frenzy
up.
4 pointers.
It's
trash.
really bland.
Yeah.
It's really just boring.
Hmm.
It's just like it's just utility. It's like, hey, get some frenzy charges and a little bit stats going with it.
I just realized that Slayer's got masterful form. The 50% increase in endurance and frenzy charge duration.
Yeah.
Your maximum endurance charges are equal to your maximum frenzy charges. Damn. I wish that would be utilized because like it's so useless
There
for
was,
where it is, but then it could be so freaking good if you actually like build around it.
There was a guy a couple leagues ago a smaller streamer named Rising Waters, who made a really interesting Flicker Slayer build with Tidebreaker. And picked up that for the melee endurance charge stun stuff.
Did it have discharge? Because if not, no, the bad build.
What? Tiebreaker discharge. That's some
Tidebreaker discharge Slayer with overwhelm, dude. Hell yeah.
Not related to
Chris,
Slayer, but related to discharge. You can use a Doedrace flask, some minions, and Supreme Grandstanding, which is the one that your allies share charges with you. To pop Doedrace flask, give your minions charges. They then give you charges, and then you can discharge. And you can get a discharge cast for every Doedrace flask.
No.
That's fucking good.
No.
Nice.
Sick.
I
Wait,
think one of
can
the
that be,
coolest like dumb builds I've seen recently. One of my viewers just linked to it, and also I think someone copied it and put it on Reddit recently. Is Explosive Arrow Necro using Azaneth's Chant. It's pretty cool. So you use Azaneth's Chant to trigger Desecrate and Offerings, and then you like ramp your attack speed to crazy amounts to get like stupid single target with Explosive Arrow. So it's one of those silly I'm Explosive Arrow and I face tank bosses, but like it pushes it to a silly extreme, and it's like block cap. And you can use the belt, and you can go for like triple offerings as well, and then you can have like infinite ES sustain with Spirit Offering. It's kind of cool.
But Tarke,
actually really cool, yeah.
You can't play it because it's not mines or minions.
Or yeah.
And it doesn't have discharge.
Yeah.
Dude, this item's really cool. Trigger a socketed spell when you attack with a bow.
Yeah, they buffed it this week. It's really good.
I want to try Baeclast on crit Vaulted Dead with that and use it for corpse generation. Yeah. There's a couple people been playing it, and I actually theory crafted that build with Asenats like 3 leagues ago when Asenats was garbage, and I tried it and it was terrible. So now I finally want to go back and get my redemption.
How much did they buff it with? I don't remember. Because I remember seeing it.
So instead of having a 25% chance to proc on using a bow skill, it now guaranteed procs, I believe, up to 3 times a second.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, it's
like 300 milliseconds, right?
Absolutely massive buff. Yeah.
Yes.
It's a little more than 3 times a second. Like it's a little better. So it's like so much better than it was before. I think they also buffed the stats. I don't recall, but even if they did,
it's 0.3 second cooldown, so you can decrease it, right?
Yeah. I wanted to fuck around with it on my course to carry build and stuff like Bane or something in there as well. Like, there's a few like quite cool things you can do with it on like a lot of different builds, which is quite nice.
Time to start farming low level bows. Volatile dead. Here I come.
We kind of like talked around the houses a bit. Would anyone like to revisit or touch on anything we missed, or should we kind of have a neat little go by Asenath's chant, bye finish?
I have one thing that annoys me about
Go on.
Metamorph. You can't see what auras they spawn with. And that's pretty stupid.
I don't get
like, when you randomly put a sub-fizz aura on there and it slaps you for 8,000, I'm like, oh, whoops. I guess that did double damage. I didn't plan for this.
Same for like rare mobs spawning with auras. I thought they learned from Betrayal with that.
Oh, right.
Just like,
yeah,
bro.
I'm okay with
this fight just went from being easy to. Yeah, but it's like so random. That's the thing that I hate. It's like nothing happens, or there's a crit sub-fizz aura, and it's just like.
If you're in Trade League, you should consider buying Breath Stealer for 5 chaos or less to make every Metamorph fight way fucking easier. It's the Blight Gloves that when you kill a rare monster, they drop a little totem for 8 seconds that gives you a rare monster buff. And that totem, it might be 10 seconds. That totem is going to sit there right next to where you have the Metamorph. So as soon as they spawn like 6 rare monsters, you steal all of those. You basically get Headhunter for the fight, which is really strong. And the gloves can be anointed. They give all res. They give attack speed. They give mana. They're pretty good.
And cast speed too.
Yes, the anointment part's really nice. I always want more anointments. So good, so good. Go ahead.
No, you go ahead. I interrupted.
All right, then fine. For my part, I was just going to say that it's the nature of a show like this for us to focus on the things we want to see improved. But I just have to say, I'm loving this league so much. I'm loving like this, I guess, expansion. I'm loving Path of Exile right now in its current state. Never has it been like more diverse. People say, oh, people only play necromancers and mines, but never really has it been more diverse. And crafting this league, crafting. So many influences, so many interesting items. The rares you can make now are insane. Putting 2 different influences together and capturing different affixes from them. And it's so good.
I feel like that's in such a good spot because forever they fought with the whole like unique items only mentality for people. And now finally rare items. I mean, I guess it's been like that for a while, but now it like really, really clicked in, at least for me.
And it was the exact right league for them to drop the multi-craft nerf as well. That might make me a few enemies. I know there's some people who really don't like it still, but if you can awaken or orb together 2 insanely powerful mods onto a chest piece, being able to then fully multi-craft it out like we could have before would have been kind of crazy.
Yeah. Fuck those people.
Multi-modding was super oppressive.
Say anyway. It, David. Multi-modding was dumb, dude. It was so silly. I don't know.
And it's still like really good.
Oh, it is. Yeah. I've multi-crafted items for basically every character I've played.
Yeah.
Even post-nerf.
Multi-modding was like fucking itemization Diablo 3. In the words of Alkaiser, you had no items. All items looked the fucking same. Everybody had the same crap. Multi-modding made no sense forever. It's such a good thing that they got rid of it in such an ugly state. And now it's still really good and cheap and it's nice. So cool.
That change coupled with like the influences and stuff like that has meant that this league I've used more chaoses than I've used like in my entirety of my PoE history. This league, just chaos spamming items. It feels so good, like chaos spamming boots and other items and things like that. It's because like
because I have no chaos all the time. Like chaosing feels so good that I keep running out of chaos and I need them for my legion. It pisses me off, dude. But then I keep spamming. It's like, just one more, 80 down, 100 down. I'm just like, oh, not good.
I love that though, because it's like you get to chaos spam, and then there's a bunch of other interesting stuff you can do with it. You can use like a beast to remove a prefix out of suffix. You can mastercraft. You can scour off the prefixes. You can start to do this other stuff with it on top of that.
If you start with an uninfluenced item as well, and you get a couple powerful mods on that, like with the bow crafting that I was doing, you can get +1 gems, regular dot multi. You can regal, try and isolate those things, then you multi-craft, and then you finish it with a Warlord Slam. And you still have a fully modded out item with multi-craft, because you can add the influence later, which is insanely strong.
I love being able to slam with those exalts on there. So it's like Chaos Spam League and Exalt Slam League all in one. Oh, I've been waiting for this moment. It's so good. Yeah, I
Nice.
bought some boots for like 50C. They had like nice tri-rares, two-tone boots with good life and like an open prefix for move speed and that, another open prefix. Like lock one out, lock the move speed out, and then slam delusive on that shit. I sold those boots for 20 exalts. It cost me like 3 exalts to make
Damn.
those. Oh, so
Nice.
spicy. And I've been doing that a ton. Like the gear I'm making for my current character, I'm basically like crafting all of my gear. So I'm like trade league, but I'm just trading for currency and bases, and which is like the annoying shit. And then I have to do solo self-found kind of. And then I'm just crafting all of these items and exalt slamming, buy an exalt. Like, yeah, let's slam this amulet. Oh, I have 0.8 lightning leech on this amulet now. Sweet. That's unusual. Cool.
You need to step it up and do the amulet vendor thing. I've been doing that so much because I ended up with like 600 alchemy orbs. So I've been just like vendoring amulets with the 3 gems so that it returns a white item, white
Nice.
onyx, and I've just been like slamming. I've made so many good amulets. Crazy.
I totally forgot about that. I got like some really garbage base, and then chat was like, "Hey, do the thing." I'm like, "What? The thing? I forgot. I haven't used this for years." I turned it into Onyx amulet. It's like went from being like a 20C base to being like a 100C base. Sweet.
Yep. It's so good. So much
Arbitrage
fun.
there.
Yeah, and it's fun that these little things matter because in the past I feel like it would have been just like, well, I could do this and gain like 60 chaos, or I could just run a map instead and just like clear it in 30 seconds and not worry about it. It's like, I don't know. There's so much more thinking about this, and you still get the gameplay that you want. So
I remember like a couple of years ago on a podcast talking about the dominance of uniques, and in particular talking about like chest slots and how dominant chess was and like how oppressive lightning coil was and things like that. That was like conversation a few years ago. I remember that vividly. And now I'm like awaken orb slamming together like attack crit explodey chests, and people are doing that with plus curses and plus gems and stuff. And the chests you can make now are like more unique than the uniques, and they're in many cases a lot better than the uniques as well. Uniques are like a stepping stone for most chest slots now, unless they give you something truly that you can't get through a lot of these influences. But you can make some truly like impressive unique chest armors now. It's such a big change, and I love it. Love seeing unique rares are back on top, baby. Rares are so good now.
Speaking of, just because you mentioned it, I'm actually seriously considering Lightning Coil as a temporary chest for my build. I think people sleep on that.
People have been using Lightning Coil this league. I feel like it's definitely
unfun.
regained a lot of its popularity.
It's been used on and off like from many leagues. I mean, it's depending on the build you're making.
Not for me.
No, but like I mean, just look at like Legion with all the fist damage taken as whatever, and then you stack a lightning coil on top of that. So I mean, ever since Legion, and even before that, right? In Betrayal, it was used a lot with all the max res. There's like one league in between where it was not as popular. I think maybe like Synthesis. It wasn't like the most popular. That's like the only league where it has been great, which is a good thing because if you look at it, like rares are crazy strong, and they're always a great option. But so are unique chests, pretty much, which is good. It's like you have that choice now. It's like I can get the uniqueness of the chest, which gives me something a little bit special that I can't really obtain somewhere else, like the Carcass Jack, for instance. You can't get as much AoE on that thing. Lightning coils, like getting a 2-stacked fist damage taken, whatever chest is really hard. And then people want to corrupt them as well for certain things. I mean, that's lightning coil. It's great for that because you can't really make multiple of double fist damage taken chests. And then you have like all the summoners, they're using that unique chest. There's the new mana chest as well. Ivory Tower. If you want to go low life, there's still
shops.
Yes. There's so many good unique chests. It's not like unique chests are like falling out of favor at all. It's just we just have the option now of going a different way, which is awesome.
But that's like such a big change to how it was before because they were just they were so dominant. Like you'd never wore a rare chest in the past unless you were going Avara Gallia. That was the only reason to use a rare chest.
The chest slot is in a really good spot, better than it's like ever been.
I think really cool. Gearing and itemization generally is in an amazing spot right now. Like there are so many items that I look at and go, "This is so underappreciated. Why don't people use this?" But it's because there are so many like amazing options. Like Mistwall, I still think is such a slept-on shield. It's so unbelievably awesome.
Oh, it's actually really, I think
the
it's
block
really
shield,
good.
I spoke out this on like one of the other Baeclasts. If you don't know, it's a shield that came up this league. It drops from the Snow Lady, and it gives you maximum block chance if you haven't been hit recently. But if you're playing an phase acro build, because of the wording maximum block, you still get max block even though you're an acro build. So it's really nice. And it has 16% movement speed on it, which is enough just for mappers to be like, 16% movement speed, what? You know.
I want to use it in my Delph armor. It's like a nice entry-level shield for that.
Well, I think we should probably finish up there on the takeaway that Path of Exile is really fun at the moment.
It's really fun.
Some things to fix. Really, really good though. Loving life. Yeah.
So, I'd like to thank everyone for coming on, and Ziggy, please do come on again. We always get happy when you come on.
Thank you. I really needed to ramble about Path of Exile and hear other people enthusiastically rambling about the game at the moment. Thank you. I enjoyed it.
I did actually get a message from Ziggy like, "Can I come talk about PoE, please?" I was like, "You can come talk about PoE."
I messaged. I was like, "I really need to talk about PoE." Let me on. Let me in.
You're not supposed to say that part, Tarke. What the fuck?
Look, I can't. Look, I tried to have a clean ending for once, so you're not like, Tarke, you can't end every episode.
Why can't you be like, what's the next build you guys look forward to playing? And then
what's the next build you're looking forward to playing, Raiz?
I haven't thought about it yet.
It's like, oh no, I'm doing this now.
Okay, what about you, Octavian? You got a build you're looking forward to play next?
I can talk about that Raider shit that I was talking to you about yesterday. One of the GGG employees that we met down in New Zealand has been talking back and forth with me about a build that I'm going to steal from him, where you build basically all the base evade chants in the game. So you get the base evade from Raider, from from Elder Rings, Redeemer Gloves, Redeemer Amulets, Grace Watcher's Eye. And with that and reliably blinding enemies and the Raider More multi, you get like 80 to 85% chance to evade. And then you go Iron Reflexes. And you also have 40k armor while you have flasks up. Behind that evasion chance. It's really strong. And you can like put Kintsugi on there, and you can Thread of Hope for phase acro, and you can use like spell dodge boots and get the dodge portion of the ascendancy. Use Dread Banner. Like just nothing hits you but things that do have to get through armor and Kintsugi.
I love builds like that because then you just like you get to the end of it, like, oh, that's gonna be so sick, and you're like, now what skill do I play and how do I do damage?
Yes, how do I do damage? So the only thing I managed to put together so far that looked half decent was a Toxic Rain Tree, and I don't want to play Toxic Rain.
I knew it.
Yeah.
But like you could do Herald of Agony if you didn't hate it, which I kind of do now.
Octavian sent me a message like, "Hey, have you heard about this?" I'm like, "Yeah, I've been talking about him too." "Oh, cool. How are we doing damage?" And we're like, "Let's try and list some fun skills." And it's like,
I have
I want to do something melee so I can use Mist Wall and get Fortify as well.
Something poison then.
Possible.
It lines up well with that tree.
Yeah, the area of the tree that you're in.
Yeah.
That would work well. Poison, melee, something.
Kind of sucks to not be playing an assassin or a pathfinder for poison though.
Oh, what are you playing?
It would be a Raider because you get the more evasion from the ascendancy as well as 5% base evade. It's pretty important.
You could do something with like ice.
Like I wanted to do elementals so that I could go the phasing portion of the tree and have it actually do things. You know, the red shred and all that.
Vortex.
But
no. Like what's it called? Frostblade. Frostblades maybe.
Is Frostblade single target gonna be good enough with that much defense?
Good enough scare. Yeah.
I don't know.
Ballista, explosive arrow, dude. I'm telling you, it's the solution to every build.
Raiz, you're not gonna like this. You're not gonna like this, Raiz. I kind of hate explosive arrow, like a lot.
Me too.
I'm nervous to play it.
Oh no, I don't think it's too weak. I actually do think it's decently strong. I've seen some good explosive arrow setups. I really dislike the play style. Like I just don't enjoy it.
Okay, here it is. Impale. There you go. Paradoxia.
Yeah. Sold. So strong. Oh my god. So efficient. It's a solid point.
Oh, what about the what is it called? Disintegrator? You could do some shit with that. No problem.
I like how the show did not end despite Tarke's best efforts.
Well, no, because I'm great. I'm looking forward to Raiz telling me about what build he's looking forward to playing next.
I mean, I'm pretty basic. Bull lightning mines is still. I died on my character too early. The one that I had with bull lightning. I'm still looking forward to tremor rod mines. Oh.
Oh, okay,
Good.
right.
No,
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 Octavian
no.
knows where this is going. Okay, so
Tarke.
Raiz, we had a conversation about destination chains a while ago, and I know Ziggy's here as well, so he can back me up. How do detonation chains work, Raiz? When should you be detonating, and how often should you be detonating?
As often as possible.
No.
Yeah.
You get close to max, you detonate once, and you spam throw. If you press it again, you reset the chain and you fuck your damage.
Okay, but it fucking breaks the chain anyways when you keep throwing because it
Okay,
overrides unless you get
Are
a
you
shit
using
build.
high impact mines, Raiz?
I mean,
Or blast
well,
chain?
high impact max fucks with it more. Wait, high impact is which one?
High impact is the double damage. Are you using high impact?
Where are we? I'm not even
blast chain?
playing a mine build. What are we
I thought
talking
you said
about?
you were.
I'm looking forward to it, but nobody's gonna convince me to fucking click a sequence once.
Then
That's
play
not.
high impact, and then it doesn't make a difference.
There
Just
you
use
go.
the double damage support.
Yay.
But if he's using Tremor Rod, he can't, because Tremor Rod has the other one. Tremor Rod has Blast Chain.
Oh, it has blast chain built into it.
Oh.
I didn't know that. I haven't used Tremor Rod since the.
It's not better though. It's only better if you. Oh, I get it. You guys are the guys who don't use minefield, huh? You guys don't fucking use
you
minefield.
can use Minefield, but the way that it works, you can use none, so it's consistent. But if you use Minefield, the way you do it is you either don't throw to max, you throw like 20, then detonate, then you hold right click, or you throw to max to do what Wind does, you detonate, then you wait for a second, then you start throwing again.
Yeah, so cancer then. No, I would much rather spam the button.
If you spam the button, you nerf your damage. Ziggy, you made a video about this. Please
It's
help
so
me.
much better like this though.
And don't use
the
Tremor Rod.
real the reality of the situation, no matter what you do, it's gonna break your chains all the time.
There you
this
go.
Is like
That's my point.
is like this is like Blade Flurry. My Blade Flurry DPS is through the charts if I just channel release perfectly, exactly pixel perfect every single time, which I do because I'm a god gamer, and I also chain my mines to maximum chaining value, detonating at the exact moment.
If you don't use Swift Assembly or you don't use Minefield and you build lots of throwing speed instead and just go for raw throwing speed plus charged mines, then you can fairly reliably never accidentally overcap yourself, and you can still get long chains. I noticed a pretty massive difference in the Toxic Rain mine build when I was using Blast Chain with that. It's just, I don't know if you can do that with Tremor Rod reliably.
Or you
Sounds
just
like
wait
a
for 1
bad
second.
build to me. I don't know. The waiting for a second is ridiculous to me.
Well, no, because like that's what Wins does. Because like, and again, he's always bossing. You only really need a big chain on a boss, so it's kind of like
Yeah, if you boss,
you
sure.
reposition or like you press like a seal skin or something. Like you just press something in that 1 second, then you throw.
I haven't used Tremor Rod. I don't even know how that works yet. Do you just like tap it twice and it?
No, if you
procs
tap
once?
it, if you tap it twice, it will break the chain. So like
Yeah,
you
you
tap
screw
it
yourself.
once, and then you tap it again afterwards.
And then you get frustrated because it broke it anyway.
It's I don't like using
Yeah.
Tremor Rod. I don't like using Tremor Rod. It's weird. I
No,
just use
Tremor Rod felt
buttons.
real jank to me. You can make it
Really?
work, and some people have, but it's a real jank feeling.
It
Yeah,
also
because
If you
guys
want-
click
if you
once.
want
nerfs
a,
your like
um,
burst damage for like
If
mapping.
you want a good visual indicator of when you should hit the detonate key again, it's when your mana starts to be reserved again. Because that's when you're placing mines and they're actually staying rather than being detonated.
Basically, we all agree while mines are great, the new mines are fucking so obnoxious to use.
I kind of miss. I was thinking back to my old Glacial Cascade Tremor Rod mine build, and I was like, oh, that was so nice. You like pop that shit, and it's left the mines behind. You move on to the next pack, pop it again. Ones over there are blasting from the Tremor Rod. Like you stacked up all the AoE from Sabuti. You got screen size Glacial Cascades. Ah, feels so good, so smooth.
Because like
It's
my
so good.
only hardcore 100, or my only 100 is KB mines, and I remember how buttery smooth that was to play, and I played a mine of this league, and it was kind of fun, but I'm just like,
Do you think it has anything to do with taking the best skill in the game and the best way to build the build and putting it in together and, Because that's kind of what that was, you know that,
Yeah,
right?
it did. I did also have Baz as my bitch boy, which made it even.
Yeah.
Ugh. But old mines were so much smoother than new mines. Like new mines are stronger mechanically; they're a lot stronger, but they're just like. Ugh.
I like the new mines. I just clicked the button twice.
The new ones
Okay,
are more
so-
interesting for
ooh.
sure, but
Here's the
go for it.
here's the key though. What's your guys' keybind for proccing the mines?
Right click.
D for detonate, obviously.
He uses D. What about you,
D. I
Tarke?
use D.
It depends how.
He uses D too.
It depends how full my bars are. So if I've got like minimal bars, I like having R because I like having R as my single. No, let me finish. Let me finish. Let me finish. If I've got loads of space, I use R because I like having R as my single target button, and it's just muscle memory for me that R is single target. Otherwise, I use D.
Oh, actually, I use F. Just thought about it.
I use the delete key because I like to delete monsters when I play my build.
Right.
There you go.
Hey.
See, so all of that is wrong. You can only ever use the side buttons on your mouse. Try it.
That's terrible.
I needed a lot of convincing.
Thumbs.
Okay, once I got
That's
used
flasks.
to it, it's the best thing ever. Oh, you have flask on your thing?
Yeah.
Oh no.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
That's pretty bad. Your poor
I don't know.
thumbs.
I'm
Jesus.
too used to it because I used to use side buttons and WoW, so I got so used to that when I started playing
Oh,
PoE,
it's so
but that
bad.
was flasks.
Ugh. Poor hands.
That's fucking disgusting.
Hmm.
See, because I changed it after WoW as well, because I got one of those mouses with like 12 buttons and stuff, and it's really grown on me. Yeah, I got
I've even
Oh,
got 3
no.
clicks.
Look at those buttons.
Got an
Holy
extra click,
shit.
mate.
Terrible.
That's
got
some
an extra
gamers
click
right
thing?
there.
Do you
Yeah.
Look at these
use it?
gamers.
So I bind this to control Alt.
Whatever, Ziggy. I bet you use the fucking middle mouse button.
Oh, no,
I
do
use
you?
the little mouse
What?
button.
You do use
Really?
it. I fucking knew it. See? I can see it in your eyes.
No.
See, you're just objectively wrong now.
There's 2 buttons on the mouse. That's it. The rest is just for voice comms.
No.
No.
On the top of the mouse, there's 2 buttons, but on
Raz
the
has got my
side, though.
number. Raz has got
Actually,
my
there's
number.
4. There's
I
wheel
knew
up
it,
and
dude.
wheel down. Those are also good.
One thing which I saw, which I really liked, there's a guy who uses a foot pedal for voice comms. I kind of want a foot pedal now.
See, that's pretty lit, though.
Yeah, that's pretty clean. I quite like that.
It's like those things with the controllers where you got the little buttons like
Mm.
underneath. You give them a little like tap on the bottom. Yeah, that's good.
Mm.
All PoE should come with those controllers. On console would be so much better.
Like you just download PoE and GGG send you like a bunch of like random things.
Yeah, because it just needs the 2 extra buttons, and then console PoE is amazing.
So
You
casually.
forget
Yeah.
about the lag. Yeah,
Yeah, of course.
naturally. Free game, dude. Why don't they just like send
Tencent
us
money,
stuff?
dude. It's just one of those things. You buy a supporter pack, they send you some foot pedals. You know.
Yo, that would be good. I wonder if people actually do that in like racing games. It's like, hey, here's a steering wheel.
What?
Was there anything else in the topic list today, Turkey?
No,
Oh.
like the show ended like 30 minutes ago and it was quite clean, but then Raiz fucked me up. And we like Nuki and Ziggy still haven't had a chance to know what build's looking forward to play Octavian. Ziggy, what build are you looking forward to playing?
I'm looking forward to playing as I was streaming today, and I'd spent like an hour and a half crafting in town. And someone's like, "Is this a mapping build or a crafting build?" And you know what? I'm looking forward to playing a crafting build for my next build.
Nice.
And this build, I'm playing the crafting build. That's my favorite build.
What about you, Nikki? Crafting build or mapping build?
Mana build.
Oh,
Something mana. That and I've thought about using like the helmet as well in different ways, but I really want to make like a hero font again with and then scale the Crusader explode, like the Crusader chest explosions with like all the global damage with mana and AoE and everything.
Yeah, I was
on
about
the
to say
hero
that Herald of Ice scales off the generic AoE as well, but Crusader chest is like even better.
Yeah, just
That's
stack everything.
but that's the problem though. I had the same thought process before the league started where I was like Hierophant. And then I ran into Octavian problem where I'm just like, there's just no fucking skill that's gonna do enough damage with this crap.
Have you tried playing Frostball Ice Nova?
I saw that you
Okay.
playing that. That thing was crazy.
it's real good. And I wanted to go crit like end game if I could like get the gear around for it, and then it's like crit. But even like just on a 6-link with non-crit, you get like easy 2 million damage.
My mind was broken. I was watching you play that, and then because I think I saw your rip actually. That was the first time I saw it, and you were just like pumping through content, and I was like, damn, how much crit does he have? And people were like, oh, it's non-crit. I'm just like, wait, what?
Yeah. That's the crazy part.
Insta killing everything. It was like an 83 shipyard boss. He like cast it twice. It was just instantly dead. I'm just like, wait, what? Ridiculous. So yeah, I guess that makes sense.
I think that's like one of the things. If anyone wants to make like a self-cast build right now, I can highly recommend Frostbolt Ice Nova on the pledge. It's like real good. Yeah, it's really fun.
Pledge.
I don't know for those who don't really get why it's good. So when you use Echo with Frostbolt, like not if you don't have, I think, do you need the staff for it to? No, you just need the Frostbolt. Whenever you cast Echo on Frostbolt, you cast once and then it echoes on the Frostbolt, so you can immediately move after. So as long as there's a Frostbolt in the air and you echo, like spell echo, you don't get stuck in all 4 animations like you would on the with the pledge. Yep. It just echoes on the Frostbolt. So every time you cast once, it casts 4 times on the Frostbolt. So your DPS is essentially times 8 of the ice. It's crazy. It's
Maybe I'll try that. Could I make that work on the Raider? I don't think so. Wrong area of the tree.
No, that would totally work
as well, because it adds an additional echo, so you get the triple echo.
Isn't there a woke spell echo? What does that do?
More damage. Double damage. And it's real fun on Hero Fan because you have so much AoE.
Do you want to hear my super exciting build that I'm playing?
Yes.
Please.
Lightning Trap.
Wow.
I like Lightning Trap. I've been really enjoying playing My Never Matter builds recently. Just My Never Matter Lightning Trap, like 8k EHP, blind
I feel
stuff.
Like you build every time Tarke.
Why do people still do that? I don't get it. Why don't you just play like Devouring Diadem or like some sort of hybrid something? Like, why do you keep doing MOM?
I actually hadn't played MMO in like a really long time.
MOM is really good now.
It's very good, yeah.
With enduring
flasks?
flasks?
Good, but it's kind of like, I don't know, it feels unnecessary.
It's really nice with those kinds of builds because you can just like a lot of those like trap builds, especially, they kind of struggle that unless you've got good gear, it's like 5-6k life. Shit, what do? Go CI or ES? And then if you don't have that early on, or you just go like Mom in actually get mana nodes. I get really triggered when I look at like Mom builds and Pee-wee Ninja and they've got no fucking mana clusters and you're just like, ugh. And they're still running like a 30% reserve. I think they like watched one Mathel video or like Mathel ran as like a 35% thing. So like, oh, like, so you go Mom, like run some auras, take no mana nodes, and then I've got like 600 unreserved.
600 life, it's crazy.
Yeah,
man.
just like
600 extra HP, bro. So good.
Yeah.
Would have been like Act 4.
Oh no, I'm more triggered by the people who don't run anything and then they run Clear Mind on it, and I'm just like,
oh no, don't do that. No.
I had a guy in my chat who was like, dude, I found a Clear Mind. Like, what build can I make? I'm like, oh, so you get like 50 spell damage from a jewel? That's crazy, dude. Nice.
Oh god.
That's like at least 5% more spell damage you can get from a jewel. That's pretty impressive.
Also,
Claymores are good if you're Aragorn.
One thing, just to let chat know, there's this gem called Inspiration. You've probably never seen it in Path of Building because you need to tick a button for it to do damage. Inspiration's great.
True.
But with the tree that I've got planned, a 6-link level 21 lightning trap's only going to cost 15 mana per throw.
Which is good for Inspiration.
That's spicy.
It's not bad. It's not a bad sport as well. Works pretty well.
I missed it because they added it last league, right? Yeah. And then they immediately nerfed it. I never used it last league. I only started this league, and I like it a lot as well.
Even now, it's still really, like some like 38% damage, and it gives crit as well. Like 30% more.
Helps combat control destruction in LA focus builds, which is really nice.
Exactly.
Or sorry, control destruction in LA overload builds. Yeah, not LA focus.
And it works with like Hail of Ice. It's another like multiplier.
Oh, I didn't know that. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, so it just scales elemental damage.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Wondering like how to choose.
It works with Herald Device. God damn. Maybe I will. Maybe I will play an assassin. God damn it! Because I've been thinking about playing an assassin, but I just couldn't quite put anything together.
I mean, you need to generate the charter somewhere else, right?
Yeah.
I'm fairly certain. Like, I'm like, I don't
Yeah.
see why it wouldn't.
No, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I like that.
Okay, it's actually over. I'm gonna actually cut it there. But,
Yes.
yeah, it's actually over now.
The
Okay.
end. Gotta slow